Ever been watching the ALGS or your favorite Apex Legends streamer and heard them saying things like,
Hacked one, gatekeep this team, that's gonna be Pierre the Rat,
and wonder, what are they talking about? We wanted to take a moment to shine a light on some of the most common terms you might be hearing and wondering about as the newest season of the ALGS kicks off.
This is gonna be fun, brother.
Crack, no. He's cracked.
Cracked, or flesh, is something you'll often hear when a player informs his teammates that he has eliminated the armor of an enemy and they are now vulnerable.
Wraith is cracked, man.
In the game, this is accompanied by a satisfying sound.
Crack här inne.
I kidnap two.
He's again and he gets another kidnap!
Kidnap is a sneaky tactical maneuver in which a Wraith player will use their ultimate to make a dimensional tunnel to an enemy team's location with the goal of having an enemy accidentally get sucked into the tunnel and be whisked away to their deaths at the other end.
This third party central.
We're gonna have to third them.
Here comes the third party!
Third partying in Apex Legends is a situation where two squads are fighting each other and another squad decides to join in, usually waiting until one team has been eliminated and the surviving team is licking its wounds. As you can imagine, this is about as welcome as someone cutting in on your dance or showing up when your party is over. But for the team doing the third partying, it could be a blast.
Let's go, man!
This has been some perfect gatekeeping.
Great job gatekeeping this squad. TSM are one of those teams gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping is a tactic in Apex Legends where teams take strategic advantage of choke points on the maps, choosing passages where teams will most likely need to go to escape the encroaching ring or other pursuers. Teams will often set traps or barriers as they lay in wait, spider-like, for their prey.
So this is actually a great rat spot. High tier ratting right now.
Devious rat strat.
Rat, also known as rat strats, are when a player is the last living member of the team and chooses to strategically hide with the intention to gain them placement points. The goal is simply to outlive and outlast opponents, whether it is by shadowing a more aggressive team, finding a corner, or a bush to hide in, or just finding a place that's difficult to assault. Ratting can even sometimes result in a surprising solo win. While this barely scratches the surface of all the insider language players and casters used in-game, we hope this short list of player slang will help you follow all of the upcoming action with your favorite streamers and in the Apex Legends Global Series. And remember,
the game is not merciful to those who lack imagination.
Welcome to the Apex Legends Global Series. It's year number 2 and we have a ton of NA action coming at you today. I'm Persia and I'm going to be driving the dropship today, and on the mics we've got Fallout, we've got Onset, and Gaskin is hanging out in the back of the dropship. So we've got you covered on all of those fronts. There's so many great things to look forward to today because our groups are stacked. Fallout, how are we feeling going into day number 4?
On top of the world, especially after the EMEA Broadcast Guild obviously going huge, but now it's North America, baby. We got Sentinels, we got Complexity, Space Station Gaming, who looked so strong last weekend. I'm excited for the day of action here. It's gonna be a great one. Onset, how you feeling, man?
I'm pumped. You probably heard me before the show went live. I've been almost like unfathomably excited to just sat here making weird noises. I want to get into games. I want to see the action. EMEA was amazing. NA needs to put on a show to match it.
I agree. I am ready to get into the action, and we even have a little bit of a recap video of the NA action from yesterday in case you missed it. So let's take a quick look at that first.
It's game time, baby. Y'all ready to ride for me like I'm ready to ride for you?
Walk in. I'm down to zone, play my knock. No, 1 HP on 2, Naughty. Shoot! I'm crawling forward. Keep shooting, Naughty. Don't stop. No matter what, bro. Play the knock. Back. She'll drop. I'm not play behind mine. I'm body locking for you, Naughty. Oh, bye.
C9 has the advantage. They know all members of Premier have to come out of this door.
I love the positioning from Jack. He utilized those traits for cover, and now he's able to move right in, not missing a single shot with the E by A. He gets them down, and C9 are your champion for game number 4.
And Glavan are coming through for more BM. There go Renegade. God, there's so many zones to ring. Afro lately now, the last man standing, the L-Star from point blank range, putting in work, but the ring will come into play, and unlucky.
And they do manage to get that cleanup on the spot off to the right before Sleepy Panda was actually able to take it from right underneath Renegades. This is the last squad. This is the opportunity for them to come out on top, and Renegades are your winners for the last game of NA today.
Cloud9. Did they or did they not absolutely feast yesterday on set. I could not believe what I was seeing. The consistency, the plays, they tore it up. What do you think teams going into today are going to think about after that performance?
I think it's difficult to take away anything from how Cloud9 played yesterday. I thought they were on point. I think that's probably the best we've seen Cloud9 play. Let's just take ourselves back a few months. You know, when the roster change was made, there was so much drama. I was almost closing Twitter every 2 minutes because I was fed up of it. And I said, this is a big move. This is a move from a lineup who isn't happy with second place. They want to take home first place. And it looks like now, after, you know, a couple of weeks are done, it's looking like maybe it was a good move.
Yeah. And I guess I gotta tag onto that and say they absolutely silenced the community yesterday with their performance. A lot of people questioning that decision to replace Nox with Alberelli, but that's what Alberelli does. He elevates teams. He's a phenomenal individual player, and they looked so incredibly strong as a result. They're on top of the overall leaderboards, as you see right here. That's the most dominant single performance we've seen yet in the ALGS Pro League. 97 points, Persia.
Yeah, definitely putting up massive numbers. We were impressed by Sentinels before, and Cloud9 said, hold up, it's our turn. And look at this spread, the top 20 here. We're going to get to the bottom 20 in a little bit, but the top 20 has definitely seen some changes. NRG also showed up to play after a kind of slow start last week.
They certainly did. And one thing to note as well is some of these teams have only played 1 week of action. Some of them obviously completed their second week yesterday. So we will see some changes after all of the players finish today. But you're looking down at the bottom and the new CLG lineup, they're not going to be too happy. Furia as well. They're going to need big days to come. 100 Thieves could be in that conversation as well. But the surprise for me is G2. G2 need a big day soon because, you know, the weeks run out quicker than they think. And they could be struggling if they don't put in a big point performance.
Now, Fallout, I know we're part of the controller squad. What do you think G2 needs to do to rack up some points as we move forward? And also taking a look at some of our other groups as we see them split up here.
Honestly, Persia, not worry. Don't panic at all. We know G2 is a great squad. Stick to their guns and what works. You know, look at NRG. They started slow last week, bounced back, had a hell of a day yesterday. I think the aim assist boys are going to be doing it again here. G2 is going to show up big time here in day number 2 for them at least. I'm excited to see what they can do here.
Yep, today we are going to be seeing Group C versus Group D, and this is going to be an interesting mix. We haven't yet seen all of these teams play against each other yet, so we're going to see how people adjust to each other. I'm looking at, you know, Group C right now. We got Complexity, Sentinels, Torrent, all of these heavy hitters, but you also still have people like Senior Service and SXG. There's literally no one that you can count out from Group C. Onset, what are you thinking about Group D?
I think there's a few teams in here who need a big day, and that's how I look at it. There's a couple of teams who performed extremely well in week 1, but you look across the rest of the lobby, and I'm kind of taking Space Station Gaming and excuse me, Sentinels out of that conversation because a lot of those teams were in that bottom 20 and they need to step up. And I think this is a huge opportunity for them to do so, to put themselves back into where they think and where maybe their fans at home think they should be.
Exactly. All right, it's time to whip out the microscope and look a little bit closer at some teams to watch. So this is our Lenovo Teams to Watch segment. All right, guys, we've talked a lot about our teams so far, but I want to hear about the 3 that the people at home should really be paying attention to. Fallout, hit me with our first one.
Absolutely. How could you not be talking about Sentinels after their performance last week? 92 points overall, and of those 92 points, 42 of them were kills. They fragged out. Their average placement was 4.33, including 2 first place finishes, a second place finish, and this team picking up Lou in their debut looked so incredibly strong. I mean, they were just mopping up the entire lobby, running away and having their way with every single team. There was a round in a game where Lou took a 1v3 while his teammates were fighting elsewhere, and no problem was able to handle it with ease. You see the back-to-back championships or wins that they got. They performed so incredibly well. Team 2 for me is Complexity. And I say Complexity with a bit of a question mark because we don't know which Complexity is going to show up. This is the team that was a multi-champion from the summer circuit and the autumn circuit. They dominated back in those early days, kind of fell off in the late winter circuit, didn't qualify for ALGS champs, had an okay performance last time around. But Onset, what is it about Complexity? What do they need to do to go big here?
I think it's just momentum. We saw it a lot from the likes of Sentinels, right? Well, first game is massive here for Complexity. We know how talented this lineup is, and to be honest with you, I'm sick of saying it. I need to see results from these boys now. They came 7th place in week 1. Not good enough by their own standards, but I took a quick look at social media. I saw Monsoon there saying, anyone I see on my screen today is going to die. So that is about as big a statement as you could want out of Monsoon. Team 3 for me is Space Station. Zenial, Dropped, and Frex. I just think this team right now is the form team in Apex Legends competitive. The reason I say that is not just in tournaments they're getting it done. They got it done in week number 1. They were first place. They ranked up 73 points, which is very, very impressive. But it's their consistency across the week as well. Whenever you're looking at scrims, whenever you're looking at any kind of competitive settings, these 3 players, for whatever reason, seem to find themselves at the top of the leaderboard. I've been super impressed with the addition of Dropped. I think Dropped has been absolutely amazing. He's been instrumental for them, finding great positions towards that end zone, and Zenial has been clutch on Valkyrie, as you can see here, going up into the skies to clean things up with the alternator.
You guys said it perfectly, and for everyone at home, that was your Lenovo Teams to Watch. The time has come. Talent predictions. I know you guys thought I was going to say gameplay. Soon. Talent predictions first. We got to see who the casting crew is feeling for day number 4. I'm just going to toss it out there. I've been choosing with my heart this entire time, and my pick goes to Team Sheesh. This is a team week over week that we have seen improve and get better and better and better. Now we got Nicewig IGLing. I couldn't agree more. But another big factor to that team is a prize, being the glue and being exactly what Timmy and Nicewig need to make that team function the way it does. Onset, tell me about your pick.
I just want to talk about everyone's picks. It looks like we've really gone overboard here. Outside of yourself, Persia, who's gone with your heart, we've gone for the 2 teams who came first in week 1. I mean, what else can you say? Space Station, I think, in this lobby, are going to be able to control the pace of the game that's played out. And that's one of the most difficult things to do now with the amount of Valkyrie teams we have. If you can get a great spot, it is so difficult to hold it down, and I think that Space Station are one of the best at doing it.
But hold on 1 second. You know, you said Space Station can control the pace. How do you control the pace of Sentinels? They play at a different speed. It is Mach speed in which they perform. I don't think anyone's stopping the Sentinels squad, Space Station included. I got Sentinels take that.
Ooh, we got some head-to-head action going on. I think it's time to go ahead and jump in. I gotta fly this drop ship and drop off our players, of course, onto World's Edge, so I'll see you guys in a bit.
Amazing stuff. Thank you so much, Persia. John, I'm super excited for this game number 1. If nobody at home could tell, I'm pretty hyped about things, all right? I'm ready to go. And I love the fact that we both picked 2 teams who have played such different playstyles as our predictions as well. Space Station, they've tried to lock down positions. They've been one of the best in Apex at doing it. But Sentinels, John, you showed a great point. You said it doesn't matter who's in front of them. If you were in week 1, they just wiped the floor with you. They showed no respect to anyone.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this team so special. 3 players as talented as Lou, Senox, and Crust. Are you kidding me? An absolute dominant team of fraggers. They remind me a lot of NRG in terms of their overall playstyle. They obviously don't have that vocal, while also being a great slayer of a leader in IGL and Sweet Dreams, but all 3 of them are fraggers, much like NRG. So I'm excited to see what Sentinels can do. But then obviously we got G2 Esports, who are obviously looking to put themselves right back on top of the overall leaderboards. We have Complexity, who's trying to prove a point and prove us wrong, to be honest. We really have been performing over the last few months. I'm excited to see what Complexity can do. Storyline upon storyline in this one on set. It is going to be a phenomenal 6-game series.
Well, it's Sunday night, and you know what that means. It's Apex Legends time. North America is officially live with week 2 of Pro League, and we're going to watch Esports Arena, John, because this is a team who I think are actually going under the radar a little bit. Pretty good performance in week number 1. If you've been watching scrims through the week as well, you'll know that these guys are so good at getting an early spot. A lot of teams calling out, I don't know how they've got there. How have they managed to rotate so quickly? But they find a way, and I do feel that they're one of the teams who really utilize Valkyrie to its best ability.
Yeah, that's right. They drop Lava City. They get it for free, so it's a good opportunity for them to get some good loot. But look at this rotation they're going to have to make on set. It is a far northwest pull all the way to a skyhook finish, so max rotation for them. Meanwhile, keep an eye on G2. We talked about them. We hyped them up a lot, dropping in Thermal Station at the bottom left of your map. They're going to just ride this dead side rotate and should have a fairly easy time rotating. I think this is a favorable zone. This is the zone that G2 tends to feast on because they find teams on rotation. They like to take those fights. Keep a close eye on G2 in this one as well.
It's going to be interesting to watch how they approach things. Space Station Gaming, though, they're going to be very, very happy. They're going to be landing over at Lava Fissure. They don't have too far to go. And like I mentioned, one of the best teams are holding down one of those strong spots towards the end game and for the majority of that game. But Sinus, please, they're going to be landing a few early shots here over at Trials in towards Skyhook on some of those teams who are trying to quietly go about their business. But one thing we all know about Trials, one thing we all love about Trials is when you land here, you're guaranteed to leave with some decent loot.
Yeah, that's right. Synced and Wicked, longtime teammates, well before even the Apex days. They've been playing together for a while. Obviously, Synced had a chance to compete with Rogue, aka T-Treb, one of the top streamers in Apex Legends that was on Ranked is Harder, actually won a championship, came out of nowhere, that squad, and proved maybe perhaps Ranked was harder as they dominated in the late days of the Winter Circuit, qualified for the Winter Circuit playoffs. Excited to see what they can do. And of course, we got to show some love to Sentinels, who are still dropping in the former Sorting Factory area where obviously they used to always drop. Now Lava Siphon, same location, same spot. It's a great position to drop because you're very central map. You get good loot. So keep an eye on Sentinels as they have to make their rotation pretty far as well. I think they're going to rotate right behind Aim Assist if I'm correct, on the west side of the map.
And one thing I want to talk about a little bit is, from my personal opinion on things, and something that definitely contributed to the success of Sentinels in week one, was game one. That 1v1 clutch that Crust managed to pull off, it put all sorts of momentum behind them. It got the energy high, and they are an emotional team. I'm going to say it, Sentinels. We know some of the characters that are on there, and when they get rolling, it's difficult to stop. But as we know, John, and as you know, if there are teams sometimes where things don't go right in that first game, it can affect the rest of the games, all the way up to game 6. So Sentinels, I feel like the same as Complexity, need a strong game one here to get that fire burning.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, I think for Complexity, they have a good opportunity here in game one. Again, Complexity, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to do great when the zone actually ends up on them in the north and the east side of the map. They obviously drop in the north side by Climatizer, Epicenter, and Survey Camp. But the fact that the zone is pulling a little bit west of them means that they can try and farm a couple of the teams coming from Fragment West. They can take a fight over in Skyhook. This is a semi-favorable zone for Complexity, one that they like to play and fight as a ring team or an edge team. So I agree with you, because Complexity is the one team that needs to have a big game, and this is a good opportunity to do that.
Well, Xset just going to be taking their time right now. Might be thinking about an early Valkyrie rotation as well. Just looking at their composition, you would imagine that they're going to be relying on positioning. You've got Corsic and you've got Gibraltar. So if they can find a spot to lock down early, even with the zone being quite far away, they can get to countdown, they can find somewhere to play and maybe hold some teams out. Then they're more than likely to have success. As one team lands, another goes to the skies. Air traffic control is going to be busy today.
Yeah, indeed it is. But good coordination, though, by air traffic control. Nice job. Clearly clearing the runways here. So it's going to be one team skipping out, another team getting that recon, getting that intel as to where the next zone is going to be. But it's going to be a team dropping on another here. CLG wants a fight. They want static, but they're going to actually get too much static. It's a crypto ultimate that's going to come through. CLG playing with aggression, but it might cost them here on set.
Yeah, I don't know if you call that playing with aggression or you call that something completely different, because that is not a smart play from CLG. It's not like you've just come out of nowhere. It's not like your Ghost. It's not quite Halloween yet. People can see you landing, and that will be them eliminated. I'll put it down as questionable, but I gotta be straight with everyone at home. That's a bad play from CLG.
Yeah, that's a bad play indeed. It's almost like they thought they could just skirt that team and get in that building. Not the best decision from them. And it's Astral Esports, our Mexican team, representing for Latin America. Well done from them. Vamos, Astral, as we have them now currently under duress and on the retreat.
Well, my Spanish is not good, so I'm not going to try and join in on that. Maybe that's something for Bravo to come back and give us a little lesson on. But Astro Esports now just smartly actually backing out of this situation, having just managed to do a little bit of damage, maybe use that caustic ult as well to try and force the team off of height. They recognize they didn't have the position that they would have wanted to, so now they've backed up smartly, going to reposition and just take a few moments here to reset.
And it looks like they'll be able to reset. So a wise decision from them, actually backing off of that countdown location, especially because guess what? You got Xset, you got No Cocoa Puffs and Co., who actually had a great showing in week one. Kudos to them after they performed incredibly well. So we'll see what they can do here. And we'll keep a close eye on that squad as well. Astral able to back out, reset, and things are going to stabilize here. And as they do, I'd actually love to take a look at our overhead map in a full screen just to see what those rotations are looking like. As we talked about G2 hugging the west side, it looks like they're able to rotate. They're able to be in circle right by countdown, and look at the clumping. When we say clumping, that's where all the teams are clumping in one area, one location. Well, right now it's over in countdown. So many teams in that area. We'll see if G2 decides to join on the action and join the fight here momentarily.
Yeah, I want to talk about Senior Service as well, the team that you just mentioned, who are currently inside of Countdown. They had some real technical issues last week, and they managed to pull through and actually put up a decent amount of points towards the end. They were having problems in game, problems with communication with a Discord. It was all everything. You know, Noko was saying, honestly, it really tested our mental game. But sometimes being tested in your mental game is important because it means that when things start to go right and also when things go wrong, you can bounce back, you can find a way to recover. And that's exactly what they did. But now Sentinels up on top of this central structure inside Epicenter. No surprise to see them playing Edge again. And Edge comps, I think, have been something which is, like I mentioned earlier in EMEA, I've been having a lot more success here, John, when we've had the influx of Valkyrie teams.
Yeah, that's right. And I love that Sentinel still runs Bloodhound. Gets me all types of excited, but Complexity finds himself in a fight right now on set.
Yeah, they certainly do. Reptar is in all sorts of problems here. He's missing a couple of shots as well. It's a 2v2 as Shiny has managed to take the time at least to get that battery off. He's going to go for the res as well. Interesting to see if he has a gold bag or if Monsoon's just going to be back with a slither of health. It is going to be that slither. The missile swarm comes in and Complexity are getting out of dodge. They are out there.
Yeah, they do not want this fight. They're in a disadvantage and a wise decision. All three of them on the same exact page. It's one thing you got to say about Complexity. One of the most well-coordinated teams. Their comms are on point. If possible, I would love to, if we could, jump into a listen and we'll see if we can get that action for y'all because Complexity's backs are against the wall. Meanwhile, we do have Bad Boys on screen right now. Force, Promos, and Co. As we jump back over with Complexity. Looks like they're going to re-enter the fight here. They want static on set.
Hey, Monsoon said it. If you're on my screen, you're going to die. And that looks like he is living and dying by that motto as he tries to find where this team has escaped to. They've got inside of that house right now. Reptar trying to move up with Shiny. And if they're smart here, Complexity, and they manage to formulate this push, they might be able to actually pincer this team inside.
Yeah, interesting, though, deciding to back up a little bit. I'd love to jump into the minds, into the comms of Complexity. We do have that listening ready.
One's cracked. Valkyrie's hit 40 flesh. I'm going to get on the other side southwest.
I'm queuing off the store in 2 seconds. I can't. Fuck.
Can also just look for beacon here too.
Yeah,
I queued off the door inside. They might just swing one of us too. Be careful.
Yep.
They're just all playing in the back.
I have no nades.
All right, we're taking too long here. Let's play for beacon.
Yeah.
Go for beacon here.
Coming up.
They're just 100% gonna fucking.
I'm hitting it. Just hold them. I'm hitting it.
Yep.
All right, do we want to try to get into fucking Ravens?
Totally. 100%.
Let's
go Skyward side.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah.
All right, yeah, let's run out. Damn, dude, I fucking choked on that Wraith.
I'm gonna queue.
Yep.
142. I'm running really low on light now.
Yeah, me too. Damn. All right, let's just get in the skyhook, scrap fucking ammo, and then just get to Raven.
We might be taking too long on Ravens too.
Might.
Is there anyone in front of us?
Nope.
I think there's only gonna be one team playing Ravens. I got some more light as well. I also have an ult Excel.
Still looking for an L-Star.
Heard. More light here, Shiny?
Flipping it.
Well, you heard the comms from Complexity there, John. Sorry to jump in. I'm getting overexcited today, John. I've got to be honest with you. I'm so excited for the action. I love the idea, though, from Complexity. Again, that's twice we've been on board with them, and twice they've tried to push a team. I love the aggression, but also, like you said quite rightly, the willingness to disengage when they realize things aren't going their way.
That's right. I do enjoy the aggression. That's one thing that I feel like has been missing from Complexity's identity for some time is the finishing with that aggression, staying committed.
A fear factor, right?
Exactly.
The fear factor.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, and that's another thing. Their team comp, obviously running Valkyrie instead of going for Bloodhound or Octane or more aggressive team comp. I feel like their identity, their DNA as a team is just a high fragging team, kind of like a Sentinels. And instead they've opted for a little too smart, too cheeky of a team composition and play style. They sometimes overthink things a little bit. I'd like to see them just get a little more loose sometimes.
One thing that might actually help out Complexity with recent changes to comps, etc., is how Bloodhound has fallen out of favor with quite a few teams. So they will be able to be a little bit more sneaky. Bad Boys, though, who are still inside of this building for now. They're down to 2. However, they should be able to get Force Swap back to his feet as the Gibby will use the dome, use the defensive bombardment to force the team down off of height, who are once again maybe looking to hit that beacon for 3rd zone. As Bad Boys now had to stabilize, and to be honest with you, they look pretty low on meds and pretty low on everything at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Bad Boys, same team that Complexity was just playing aggressive on. Can't catch a break, it seems like. Now it's SXG just hunting them. It's like they're a trio of gazelles with Lions just swarming as we have SXG nearby. SXG, talk about performing. They got 3rd place last week with 48 points, a first place finish in a 17 kill game. That was a record from their entire lobby last week. SXG can frag.
Yeah, that was nuts, that game. It really was. And I love the extra bullets that went into a few death boxes right at the end of it. You know me, John. That's me all over. A few extra bullets never hurt anyone, right? But SXG now, I don't know if they're just trying to hit this beacon or if they're just trying to pin this team in. If they do get the information that they haven't got many meds to work with and they get some damage done, that might be the signal to push it.
That's right. Ooh, nice little cheeky wingman shot there. Connects for a second. Oh, that's going to be the initial. That's exactly what you need to push this here. Gibraltar's not going to have time to heal back up. Great finish. Great shots by Golden. And they're exactly what I would have loved for Complexity to do. Finish what you started. Finish that fight. SXG shows that they are the aggressive team that's going to capitalize on an opportunity like that.
Well, you called it. They fragged out last week in one game, and they are fragging out the start of this one. Big wipe for them. 17 squads now remaining as we have lost our first 3. And the zone was a very interesting one because you're seeing a lot of teams down at the southern side of Skyhook right now. It looks like it's pulling away from Skyhook towards the open ground, the uphill ground towards Countdown. So some of these teams will have to make tough rotations. You've got the likes of Torrent. You've got the likes of Sheesh right in the middle there as well. Speaking of which, now we're jumping on board with Tim.
That's right. On board with Sheesh. This is Persia's prediction. We got Nicewig back in the ALGS, and boy, oh boy, did we miss seeing Nicewig compete week over week over week. Former champion. We've seen him win before, and excited to have Nicewig back as Timmy's having some fun here as well.
I love Timmy, man. How can if you find someone who says they doesn't like Timmy, they're not a person worth knowing. Is how I see things. The man is a living legend, a meme star, everything. And I tell you what, the man is absolutely nuts at the game as well. For now, though, a couple of wingman shots just being exchanged across the street with the Torrent team. I think that is just in the building across from them. But they've got a pretty tough move to make now. They're bunkered up in this building. They will be safe for the next zone, but it's the one after that they will be slightly concerned about.
Yeah, that's right. And it's been great to see Timmy competing in competitive Apex. So we always known he has the skill. Obviously, top streamer, top player in Apex. It's fun to see him here in the ALGS Pro League. And Torrent, though, on the other side, we're going to jump on board with Urice Hill and RKN. Urice, young man from Canada. So impressive, his trajectory, his growth. Torrent being really established themselves as a top team in the offseason, but had a really disappointing first week. Only 15 overall points, got 18th place overall, so that's 0 points in the standings right now. And they're looking to have a bounce-back game here in week number 2. Meanwhile, Sheesh, Timmy, perhaps a little too much trolling. He gets knocked.
Yeah, he was having fun. Now he's not quite having as much fun as he's going to have to burn through a Phoenix kit to get his HP and his shields back. Only got 2 damage to do, though, until that Evo shield will be leveled up to purple. So you can see the idea behind it. But let's talk about Torrent a little bit, because as he gets his Evo shield leveled up here, Timmy, Torrent did not have a good week 1, like you mentioned. And it was, if you listen to them on Twitter, you read the socials, then you would have seen it was because they weren't happy with some of those zone pulls. They felt they got really robbed with how they played and in the build-up, how they've been preparing. But you've got to adapt, as we're now seeing a fight go down between OXG, and that's going to be Esports Arena moving in, one of my underdog teams who win that first fight.
Yeah, nice job from Esports Arena, ESA. They got second place last week behind Space Station. They're continuing where they left off. They take out Oxygen, who had a disappointing week number 1. That's Kubsky, former Flashpoint. It really popped off early on, about a year and a half ago in Summer Circuit. And then, of course, in Autumn Circuit, but since it's been a little bit quiet. Meanwhile, Astral finds himself in a tough spot here.
Yeah, this is looking really tough. They do have the caustic barrels to play with, and people always forget sometimes that it's not just the barrels slowing people down and stopping that entry. It's the lines of sight that get denied as well. If you pop those barrels, it makes those fights so astral as Enemigo is going to have a look over the shoulder here and see if he can get some peak damage. Castillo's still down on his back, though. They haven't been able to get that res for now. So Astral Esports kind of all over the place at the moment with just 2 players alive.
Yeah, enemy, nice nade to try and buy some time, but look at this. It's Slurpee and Zednan nearby. SXG trying to push with aggression. We saw them do it a bit ago. They're going to have to do it in a 2v2 fight. Can they heal back up is the question. This is a 2v2 with a team sprinkling some damage and third-partying from afar. And guess what? You have a caustic to deal with, and you have the ring. So time is of the essence, and time is for SXG, but time is in favor of Astral.
Astral have got the ability to hold as well, because the team in front of them has to make that push. The zone will be closing in around 30 seconds, and that's going to start to really chip away at the health. However, you can see Astro Esports, they're kind of slowing things down for everyone at the moment. They need to commit to this fight if they want to have a chance at resetting and rotating in. So a tough spot for them to be in. The longer this fight takes, the longer it's going to take both of these teams to get safe when the zone starts to move.
Yep, slight advantage for Astral because that ring will be closing in on SXG, but They got to make that an advantage. No, unfortunately, Jalapeno's going to go down. It's all up to Pistillo and Enemy. Let's see if they can do putting high ground and flanking. Great flank, great shots put in, but not going to connect for the shots that mattered. As Strahl is getting clean wiped right now in this 2v3.
They need to finish this quickly, and they do. So that's more KP on the board here for SXG. 35 seconds until that zone closes, though. And there were shots coming in from Countdown. All of that noise that's gone down would have alerted the teams, and this is a little bit of a Hail Mary. The defensive bombardment will go down, and the bubble will go down, and somehow they've managed to progress up and forward. However, EMP means goodbye to that dome and the cover that they managed to create.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. SXG has been struggling in absolute hurt right now, getting gate kept. But some way, somehow surviving for now here on set.
They're going to die to zone. It's as simple as that. They just didn't have the time to get in, and that was because the fight took too long around that trailer. W had such an easy time to just wait, bide their time after the EMP hit to take that bubble down. Furia now inside a Countdown, trying to take advantage of the carnage that's going down. The missile swarm's going to go in as well. The wingman shots will break through the arm shield of Gibby, but no real big damage being done by now. But look at that zone pull. This is where I thought it might end, in that open ground just outside of Countdown.
That's right. Meanwhile, in the kill feed, quick update. We have the clashing of the Titans, SSG and G2 fighting one another. We saw 100 Thieves lighting it up as well. 100 Thieves did not do great in their debut last week under the new 100 Thieves banner. The champs themselves are looking to bounce back. Meanwhile, XSET finds himself a clean wipe. Great job from them. Shield swap should come in here.
SXG out, 100 Thieves out, Sentinels out as well. So notable teams falling early in our game number 1. 13 squads still remaining. And the question for me, Furia, they're in a fantastic position right now. They have the highest vantage point over all the other teams who are trying to make their way toward this zone. As I said, the question though is, what's happening in Skyhook right now? How are those teams managing to rotate out when there were so many teams stacked up upon each other?
Yeah, Furia typically likes to drop. Countdown recently just got picked up by this Furia organization, so imagine congratulations to Tech, Zeratricky, and Hakulo getting signed, and welcome Furia to Apex Legends. We're now jumping aboard at Space Station Gaming. No strangers to Apex. They are just farming the lobby right now. They're finally going to take out G2. That means one member alive of G2. Gent's going to get taken out as well.
I don't know if they third-partied that Space Station, but if that was a straight 3v3 fight, then they just absolutely destroyed G2. None of them had broken shields. I think one player did, excuse me, but the rest of them looking very, very healthy. And now Timmy, oh dear, as he looks down, someone looks up and he takes so much damage. Nice wig left on his own, and he's going to have to do something magical. Not going to happen. And again, it's Space Station who pick up yet more KP.
Space Station is dominating right now, showing that placement and strategy perhaps reigns supreme over the aggression of Sentinels, who's been eliminated already. Torrent, though, unfortunately finding themselves in a bad spot here. Only one left there.
Shiny going up the balloon. I don't know if that's going to be effective or if he's been taken out as well. If he can survive for a few seconds, it might be the difference between getting top 10 and top 6. But look at SSG, center zone right now, and not missing a single bullet as the Nile picks up another.
SSG is too strong in the moment, absolutely melting as this Skyhook frenzy. All teams rotating from Skyhook are finding themselves clashing, and it's going to be SSG who's the king of the hill. Meanwhile, Sign Us Please does a good job winning that fight. It's a 3v3. They got a team in front of them.
Another EMP going down, just harassing all the Gibraltar players who have been so comfortable for so long now, for so many months with that bubble, giving them that fallback, but not anymore. Speaking of bubbles, here's W, and they're inside of one. The alternator shredding through shields. Fury's down to 10 HP. He's now down to 0. A Sinus P's come in now for the third party. Big shots coming in. Now we're down to 4.
Yeah, it looks like Furia got taken out in that exchange as well. Sinus Please alive. Space Station Gaming alive and very well. Might be a Space Station Gaming start here. We'll see if they can close it out. They have Caustic and they have Valkyrie. We saw Zenile with some of the cheekiest Valkyrie plays in the late game last week. What a brilliant play that was. We'll see what's up their sleeve here in this late game. But that Caustic ultimate is available and should be a big help.
This is massive here for Space Station. They have perfect position. Take yourself out of the game for a second. Look at the map down. You have every other team on the Countdown side. They're all going to have to take shots from each other if they want to rotate in towards where this zone is going. Space Station are just going to be looking out on the field. Not only are they in position to win the game, but they could pick up so many KP as well.
Yeah, that's right. So they have to fight each other from Countdown, all three teams. And Space Station is also just going to have a chance to rain down fire. They can get on top of that rock, have a nice little vantage point, head glitch a little bit from that rock on the rotation, and kind of gatekeep the rest of the teams as they're going to be entering and trying to collapse on this circle. We got a stacker in this late game. One team low ground, a couple teams high ground. Xset here find themselves in a decent position, but I prefer to be the high ground team right now. I think Sinus Please has a slight upper hand. Space Station certainly has the win condition.
They certainly do. Now Xset trying to make their move. However, the defensive bombardment's going to slow things down. They do pick up a couple of kills, though, and it's going to be the last player, Noko, who goes down.
Here it is.
And now that'll be down to our final three. Space Station just have to show trigger discipline here, and they have to hit their shots, and they should be in position to win this game. Frex is taken down to very low shields, though, and now Space Station is starting to get focused, but what a bubble that is. The timing on that bubble means they'll be able to reset where the other teams will fight. Dropped, now moves in. The caustic gas is down from Xset as well. As we still have 3 squads remaining, it's all up to Space Station now to move in and clean up these final pieces.
That's right, on board with dropped right now. Space Station's played this near perfect so far, but they got to close out this 3v3. Frex doing a good job popping some barrels and keeping his team alive for now. Had to pop that ultimate already. 3v3 still pretty even here as Xset's going to get eliminated, and it looks like Space Station should be able to clean up.
Frex with a swing, though. He's going to pick up one. That's a great knock. And SSG just doing what Space Station Gaming are becoming synonymous with, and that is winning games of Apex. Game number 1 goes to Space Station.
Brilliant play, and I want to start by speaking to how Space Station played on the earliest part of that last zone. They had an opportunity to really fire off on every team. He said one word. He said trigger discipline. They had more than just trigger discipline. They had a head glitch discipline, as you saw them not get overzealous in trying to take advantage of those peaks, because I think he would have gotten knocked on the top of that hill. So instead, they back out, they retreat, they play the Gibraltar utility and abilities to perfection. The dome shield comes in, the defensive bombardment comes in to buy them some time to heal back up. They let the other teams fight each other and then re-enter that fight to clean up. But ultimately, they had to clutch that 3v3. They had to hit their shots, and they did. Space Station played that near perfect.
It shows how little room for error there is in endgame, and that was a perfect example of it there from Space Station. That Gibraltar bubble is 0.1 seconds later. Someone goes down. It is a totally different situation for Space Station, but they didn't. They got the timing absolutely right, and look at that for a game 1. 13 kills as well as the win. 25 points on the board.
That is massive. Space Station continues right where they left off. A crazy performance, and goes to show a Wraithless team comp certainly cannot be ignored. North America leading the way and maybe evolving the meta a little bit. We didn't see a whole lot of that in EMEA, but Space Station does it to near perfection with the Valkyrie, Caustic, and Gibraltar team comp.
Sinus Please in second as well. Very good game from them. Look at the kills almost equaling Space Station. Xset with third. Senior Service managing to scrape into fourth, but no KP along the way for them. So maybe not the points tally that they would have wanted. However, they did get those placements on the board. This is the lineup, though. I mean, damage across the board. Great assist. And Frex, 8 kills for him. Big performance from the Space Station man.
Yeah, massive performance from the IGL of this team. Got dropped from NRG about a year ago. Felt like he was still good enough to IGL that squad. So he said, you know what? I'm going to form my own team. Picks up Zenile, and then recently picks up Dropped. Look at that. Look at the support done, the damage done from Drop playing Gibraltar to perfection. You shouldn't be getting all the kills in the world as Gibraltar. You should be doing damage, supporting your team, and of course playing utility. He plays that role so incredibly well. I am beyond impressed by the Space Station squad. In my opinion, completely redefining meta, because look what it does. When you don't have Wraith on your team, you have the ability to pick up a second Caustic, in addition to a Gibraltar, who has so much utility and can go so big. I love what I'm seeing on a Space Station right now.
Well, no surprise to see the overall leaderboards looks exactly the same after our game 1 due to the points that have been accrued. Looking across those, CLG, I think they will never want to see that game again from the play that they made right at the start. But the real surprise for me, I mentioned this right at the start of game 1, John. Sentinels, momentum, going out with 0 points on the board, losing your first team fight. We'll have to keep our eyes on them as we roll through the games.
And I'm going to have to eat my words. Too soon to eat my words. I'm sticking with my prediction for now, but we didn't see what happened to them. They got taken out early. One of the first teams eliminated from that one. Not sure exactly what happened on their rotation from Lava Siphons. We'll see if they can bounce back and have a better game 2.
Well, it's time for us to jump into a break now. Game 1 was a banger. Game 2, I can only imagine, is going to be just as good. We'll see you in just a few.
I knocked one right. No. I'm beam on the left. I'm mech hitting. I'm full mech hitting.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
This guy's right. Look right. Swing right.
All right. Come on.
I'm here.
I'm batting. They're playing on knockdown shield. I'm batting.
Hey, bubble left.
Yeah. We should
play for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm swinging right.
I'm getting up top. Go down on right. Crack.
I got one.
Yeah, give me.
Left one behind me. Crack.
Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
My daily routine that helps me improve my mental health is working out.
I have a cat, I have a dog, love spending time with them.
Sleep has been the most transformative thing for me, and it is so helpful.
I take the time to do like meditation and stuff like that.
Practice makes perfect into kind of breaking bad habits and building good ones.
I promote.
Yo promuevo y practico la salud mental positiva.
In ALGS Pro League, week number 2, day number 2, and barely any time for me to catch my breath because we are straight back into the action here, straight back into the dropship, and alongside me I have a new co-pilot. It's Dan Gaskin, who, interestingly, has redesigned the meta of clothes wearing today, because if you didn't know, and I didn't know, and nobody knew, for the entirety of the EMEA broadcast, his shirt was actually inside out, and he's just been pointed out to him by his lovely girlfriend. So, Dan, it's good to see that you got your shirt the right way around.
Yeah, somehow I managed to not dress myself correctly, so clearly I was feeling in a good point during the EMEA broadcast. But now it's back on the right way. Don't worry, I'm all sorted for North America, and quite rightly so, because what a game one that was. That was pretty explosive. It almost exploded my shirt off of me. It is just questionable, though, some of the decisions that we saw. I mean, I think you touched on it as well. Like, there was a few teams who made some errors in game number 1. I'm very surprised to see that Sentinels weren't able to come out of the blocks hot, considering how well they played during week 1. And that's going to be the big question for me. Will this rattle them a little bit, or can they bounce back?
We'll have to find out for sure if they can turn things around a little bit like you did with your shirt for this broadcast. But I'm sorry, by the way, you should just never tell me these things. You should never tell me these things off camera, because they will be brought on camera for me to share with everybody else, the same way that you would as well. But I mean, Space Station Gaming, Dan, there's a reason that I picked these guys as my prediction, and this isn't me giving myself any praise, because there's 5 games to go. But the way that they played that game, every single engagement they seemed to be in, it looked flawless from them.
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly when you were talking about our predictions earlier. You were talking about Space Station was predictions from some of us, Sentinels from the other, and they're two teams who play the game entirely different. And we can see where it can go wrong for a team like Sentinels when they do play that way. But for Space Station, they just execute everything excellently. I mean, the way that they play the game, the style of how they approach it as well is just magnificent. And I think that you can learn a lot from watching Space Station. Not only the way they take fights, but how they navigate fights, how they communicate, how they kind of bait and switch, the perfection of when they use utility, like the Gibby bubble in that final fight, for instance. Everything was spot on.
One thing they do really well as well, Space Station, is we are live now in our game number 2, is they're so good when they get a good position of forcing other teams to engage with each other. And we saw it in that end zone as well, just forcing teams to have to fight, doing that little bit of damage so that they don't have to be pushed themselves. And something which maybe a lot of players watching right now thinking, you know, I wish some teams would do that in my ranked game so that I could, you know, get into better positions. But it's probably one of the most difficult skills, is to recognize the lay of the land and who to do damage to in the surrounding areas to actually make your game survive even longer.
There's a lot of things I wish teams would do in ranked games, but I've learned the lesson that ranked and competitive Apex can sometimes not go hand in hand, because people do whatever they want in ranked mode. Competitive, though, you've got the best players running around in the ALGS. It is not easy to just walk through the map and rotate comfortably. You need to be planning every single move. You need to know where other teams are landing, where they're going to be rotating, what composition they're going to be using, who you could be running into. Speaking of, there's the circle, whack bang on tree, so that's going to be good news. You'd hope for the likes of CLG, who didn't have the best of game ones. They can just wait, they can be patient, they can set up now and wait for other teams to arrive.
Well, it will be a better game for CLG in game 2, and I'm not harping on at them, I'm just saying it was not a good play in game 1. So they don't have to make any redeploys here. They're going to be safe in zone, and they should be able to get a very, very solid position to play for end game. And Senior Service made it into that top 4 as well. And speaking of Noko, during the week, you know, he was saying they found their groove as a team where, you know, Davis is really, really good at calling the zones where they want to play. But Noko has taken over the role now of actually calling the fights and how they try and position themselves, who they want to focus. And that's such a vital thing to get down, to know where the comms are coming from and who to react to in the moment, in the battle that you're currently engaged in.
I just don't want to see Senior Service go through the same pattern we saw in week 1, where they were able to get 3rd twice and then a 5th place finish, and then they completely dropped half in the second half of it. They dropped off, excuse me. They finished them 14th, 17th, and 20th. They just almost seemed like they were too ahead of themselves. They were like, oh, we're actually up here with the big boys. Like, we can actually compete. We can maybe even win this week. And it's almost like it got to their heads. They completely fell off. They didn't look comfortable at all. They were making some questionable decisions here or there. So I want to see them find the same consistency they did in those first 3 games from last week and game 1 today, but carry that out through all 6. I know it's easier said than done, but I just think now they've had that first week, now they've had that experience kind of as a team, they know what they're going to be doing, they know how they want to approach a game, they should be a little bit more comfortable here in week 2.
Well, let's talk about what Sentinels are doing right now, because interestingly, they moved their way over to Tree. They had a pretty good building to play from, and they've completely abandoned it. They've now gone back towards Lava Siphon. And for me, I think they're just trying to find some teams on that rotation. Maybe they're not happy with their loot pool and they don't think that they're going to be in a position with enough shield cells or whatever it may be medical-wise to last out that end game. But this is the Sentinels that I want to see. I want to see them patrolling. I want to see them taking 3v3s, because if anyone can end a 3v3 as quickly as physically possible, it is the Sentinels roster.
Well, I mean, if you watched them last week, you know full well that Sentinels just ran at everyone. Eventually, they became so confident in their gunplay, they decided they didn't really care about thinking about zone straight away. Instead, they were just going for kills. Speaking of, SXG having a look now to see whether they can pick up a few frags here. On the other side of things is Complexity. It looks like Complexity don't really fancy taking this fight right now.
Yeah, Complexity tried to show quite a lot of presence in the last game, but just didn't get the KP on the board. Couldn't quite execute in the way that they would have wanted to. Monsoon's a little bit split from his team here, maybe taking a little bit of a different route up the hill to rejoin his two teammates a little bit further along the line. But SXG, speaking of aggression, these two teams really did turn it on in the first game. I mean, this lineup in particular, lots of kills to speak of, maybe not getting towards that end game quite as deep as they would have wanted, but Sentinels now, they're looking to put right the wrongs of game number 1.
Bubble goes down, and it looks like a bubble fight is going to occur. How can you manage to push this one? Are you going to get the kill? Senox goes down, so it's a 2 versus 2 now in this situation. Lou's got to clutch up as the Gibby will back off, will shield up.
Yeah, he's got to be careful of the third party, though. This team's looking from tree, and the lines of sight aren't good here for Sentinels. And Lou, well, you're on your own, and there's another team approaching from the height. He's going to use that defensive bombardment to try and hold it off, but 2 games in a row, Sentinels fall inside of the first 2 teams down. Not good whatsoever if you're a Sentinels fan.
And who did they go down to? A team I've been wanting to say for ages. Sheesh! Yes, that's the one I've been able to finally do. I was so jealous I didn't get to cast them last week. But here they are. They managed to pick up the kills. It's easy frags in the end. Sentinels were weak. It was a fight that maybe Sentinels thought they'd be able to take and quickly get out of, but it lasted a little bit too long. And again, Sentinels going out in 19th position. This is not the Sentinels we expected to see.
Let's talk about this rotation coming in now from Furia. We know that Tech likes to analyze the game at, the most intricate kind of levels. And let's take a second just to remind ourselves where the zone is. We're down a tree. And at the moment, they're at the complete opposite end of the map. They are moving their way across at the moment towards Climatizer and taking a very, very different look at things here. So Furia obviously with a plan, and look at the comp as well. Fuse involved once more. We saw it in EMEA. Now it's moved over to NA.
Yeah, Fuse is one of those legends that really can spice things up when it comes not just to the end game, but just fights in general. But it does look like SXG are very much looking to try and make a rotation through right direct slap bang in the middle as well. A lot of different ways to rotate through this map and a lot of different ways to try and get down to the bottom towards tree. And again, it's about knowledge. It's about studying other teams, watching other streams, and recognizing who's going to be where at what points. You'll hear it in communication sometimes when we go into listenings. People will say like, oh, X team is going to be here around this time in the game. We should potentially avoid that. Or we might be able to ambush Y team here because they're going to be pushing in this zone. And it really is amazing the kind of strategy and the awareness that comes from teams just from doing research.
Well, look at Estral Esports right now. They've managed to take control of arguably the best building to be holding right now, right deep into the zone. We've seen a lot of end zones around this particular buildings with teams having to force their way uphill from a little bit further outside of tree. So they're going to feel very comfortable right now. I want to see where CLG are, though, what position they've decided to take up, because as we know, they do drop over at tree and should, in my opinion, probably be in the position that Estral Esports find themselves in now.
And as expected, we're seeing a few more cryptos crop up here or there, definitely more so than week 1. There was only a 3% pick rate of crypto throughout the entirety of both days in NA. But we saw it change yesterday. We saw a couple of teams try it out. We know that it's very effective if you play it correctly. But I'm also appreciating a lot of teams sticking with what they know, the tried and tested composition that they are more comfortable on. That's why we're seeing maybe not necessarily a crypto there, but plenty of caustics. We've got plenty of Valkyries as well. And it's about what you put with that. Of course, Gibby is going to be there 99% of the time, so you imagine most compositions going to feature him. But for the most part, I think everyone looks pretty comfortable with what they're playing.
Well, let's see what Estral Esports have to say right now. There's a continuing battle, a little bit of poke damage being done from this window. Let's see what the comms are like.
Tengo 3 cells. Yo
3
6.
cells, toma.
Te puedo dar una. Ah, solo me quedé para picar, güey. Se concentra en el choke también. ¿A dónde están yendo mis balas?
Oh, not too much to talk about there, Dan. No surprise either, to be honest with you. They're set up. They're very, very comfortable at the moment. They're just looking for damage.
Yeah, I think we can kind of go away from Estelle Esports, because even though, yes, they're having a little bit of a poke damage right now, unless they get pushed, they're probably just going to reside in this building for quite some time. I don't think they'll be doing any pushing just yet. Instead, it's just going to be about patience. It's going to be about thinking who's coming from where and trying to do enough damage to keep people away from their building, just kind of show enough presence to say, hey, look, this is where we are. Don't try and take this off of us. But we get the lay of the land there as we look across the beautiful scenery of Tree, and there are many teams who have already found buildings to work with here or there. SSG, you can see in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, they've already set up shop, so you imagine they're going to be in one of the prime positions. Sheesh, however, are going to be further southeast, so they're maybe either hoping for a little bit of a pull here, or they're just going to be a little bit more patient and they'll move around a little bit later.
Yeah, I wonder if she's just trying to play this one very, very slowly and see if they can hold out any teams trying to make a rotation behind them. If they can manage to do that, they will have a pretty good opening and a clear passage in towards Tree late, which might be very good for them. Also, they have the Valkyrie as well from Timmy to maybe wait even longer to make that transition from launch site where they find themselves right now over to Tree. Complexity also making their transition towards Tree as well, just playing these fences. We have seen some pulls towards here, but as you can see from the beacon information, that isn't where we're going to be heading. And if anything, Dan, it looks like we might actually be pulling away from Tree. And I questioned where CLG would be playing. They are in the building that's slap bang in the middle of it.
Yeah, they're going to be delighted to see that zone pull if they have the information via that beacon. Space Station Gaming also are going to be in a nice building, but a lot of people are going to have eyes on it. There's going to be nades hurtling towards you. There's going to be people trying to take position off of you. But if you play it correctly, you should be okay. But I think the banking on it pulling away from Tree is sometimes a risk, but when you saw that circle, there's always the potential it could happen. And a lot of the circles and zones we've been seeing do end up in some quite open areas. We've seen it go down from like 15 squads to 4 or 5 squads just in one circle, whereas previously with some more kind of solid and secure zones, it will go down from 15 to then 10 to then 5, and then you get your normal end game. But there has really been some difficult zones today, both in EMEA and in NA.
Well, step counter is looking pretty healthy here for Furia, as they now pretty much have investigated every square inch of World's Edge on their way towards zone. Tech's going to have to pop that med kit, and they are taking a fair bit of damage here, but only zone 2, so it's not going to be anything that's going to be too devastating to the economy of them. And obviously moving their way around late, I'm sure they would have been able to craft a lot of meds, and you can see the 6 batteries in the inventory here of Tech as well, gives that indication. But they're going to be moving in from the very southern tip here of World's Edge in towards launch site. Sheesh were inside of launch site, and you can see the ping there as well to indicate that they are aware of that team's presence. The question is, will they be able to sneak in here, and will there be a third-party opportunity for them to nip in and pick up some kills?
They've probably burnt quite a few calories with all the steps they've been getting in, and I think they might need to replenish themselves, perhaps with some kills. So if there is going to be anyone in front of us, you might have to go for them.
They need to go on a dirty bulk. It's the only way to put it.
The dirty bulk is there and available for it, but at the moment, they're hiding away from it. They're shying away from it. They don't want to take it just yet, but when it arrives, they're going to guzzle it all down, and you know they're capable of doing so as well. And this composition, I'm telling you, is going to cause absolute havoc to the team that they decide they want to try and digest.
Yeah, especially in the fact that they're showing no presence, and I'm pretty sure that Sheesh aren't aware of their position as well. Coming so wide, so deep through zone and into that position, and now showing absolutely no presence as well. Niceweek's got to be pretty careful here playing the outside of this building, because if they get engaged in any kind of fight from a team rotating through launch site from Lava Cypher from the north to south, then Fury are in perfect position just to swipe in, pick up those kills and say, hey, cool, this is now completely in our control.
The Johnny Cash, as I like to call it, can be dropped right on top of them, and suddenly things get a little bit difficult because you get stuck in that ring of fire, and then you're going to be in all sorts of pain.
I'm all over that. Yeah, that's trademark Dan Gaskin, the Johnny Cash.
Get Johnny cashed. I think it's definitely a thing that could catch on. We'll try and get the pro community to get on board with it as well. But she's still having a little scout around, still unaware of what's going to be happening behind them. But in 50 seconds, this ring is going to be closing.
Here we go.
They're going to be feeling comfortable for now.
They're going to be feeling comfortable for now, but that team being behind them in launch site is bad news, because not only is it bad news in the fact that that team might try and force a fight as the zone closes in behind them, but also because Furia, who aren't showing presence, remember, and are safe in that next zone, are waiting to pounce at any moment. Here's a reminder of who's currently still alive in the lobby. We've lost Esports Arena, we've lost Sentinels, and we've lost OXG. So 3 teams fallen, 17 squads remaining now, as Niceweek's going to hit some decent shots there from range with the 301.
So elsewhere, most teams are going to be either maneuvering their way from tree and trying to find certain areas elsewhere. As Senior Service, we were speaking about them at the start of this game, they are in some trouble.
No.
And actually, that trouble has gone very bad. Sinus, please, just about clutching up. Managed to get the wipe. And they've got the gold backpack for the res.
They do indeed. Senior Service go down. A good first game for them, but an interesting fight to be seen taken. Maybe that was a Valkyrie ult gone wrong. We'll have to go back and look at the footage to decide exactly what happened there, as we only caught the back end of that fight. But Sinus, please. That's the best way to get noticed, by picking up some big kills on some big players.
Yeah, if you get enough kills and if you shout it loud enough, it might happen. It might come into possibility. G2, a team that certainly need to show themselves this week, need to come up with some big points, are looking like they might have to take a fight here as they rotate in late. They are going to be on the outside of this building, but there is a team already holding it. Of course, we know that is going to be a difficult fight for them to take if it occurs, but look on the other side. There's another team waiting there as well. So one fight very easily could explode into like 3 or 4 as we go into this next zone.
Yeah, G2 got to be very careful with their angles here, because if they show themselves, they're going to lose a player. It's as simple as that. There's multiple teams aware of their positioning, and there's not too much to play as far as cover and escape plan for them at the moment. So G2 don't have the portal to get out at the moment. You've just seen it being used by Gentifying to get them into this position safe for now. And you can see that Estral Esports just having a little poke outside of that window to see what's going on. And here's the fight we were waiting for. Nicewig was caught out by Furia. They pick up the first one. And now you can see Sheesh on the back foot and trying to hold off this push.
Yeah, I think Furia, they were in a situation where they saw where the circle was pulling and they said, we have to go at some time. Johnny Cash needs to enter the arena. He did so, and they've been able now to take down one member of Sheesh and could take down more if they decide to continue the aggression here. Sheesh are going to be really annoyed with that one, but that's what can happen sometimes. Teams can just sneak behind you and catch you unawares.
Well, one team that went down in defeat as well was G2. Speaking of players going down, it's Aproy's going down. Mr. Hakulo coming in to do the damage. Timmy on his own. Unfortunately, he had the wings, but he didn't have a prayer. As now Furia, having picked up the kills, are going to be careful of the third party. And this is the team that were waiting for so long inside a launch site. They were the ones who I was worried might get third partied. And now it's Furia on the receiving end.
Bad boys, bad boys. What are you going to do when they come and third party you? That is not an enjoyable one to watch. After Furia, they just took their time. And they were probably thinking, yeah, we've won the fight. Now we can think about a route. Oh, yeah, that's not an enjoyable one whatsoever. But the Valkyrie did jet up into the sky to try and escape. And who knows, might be able to get into a point where you can placement, you can rat out, and at least pick up a few more points.
Well, as I mentioned previously, if you didn't quite catch that, GT were eliminated. I'm pretty sure you can see it on the team's remaining graphic on the right-hand side of your screen. That is now confirmed, and that was SSG in the kill feed once more. Torrent playing pretty... what I describe as a bit of a poverty position here. Not too much to play with, just some cover. Complexity now involved in a fight as well. And it looks like Reptar's going to have to do some damage because his teammates are being bubbled on. Bubble's going to be exchanged. The Gimme flies in. He's going to fall to the floor as Reptar can't quite connect. But now he's going to start doing a little bit of damage. Monsoon and Shiny still alive. This should be a win here for Complexity.
Yeah, it's a win, but it's a temporary win. You might have won the battle, but you're probably going to lose the war here. Monsoon, the last remaining player, might be able to pop this Phoenix kit, but even then, note the zone's coming, has to reposition, and this is going to be a miserable end to what was quite a promising fight. 100 Thieves on the other side, just being a real nuisance. And it was just one of those cases where you had the Eva 8 out and you're like, you know what, screw this. Let's just get the LMG out. Let's get the L-Star on the go. And boy, did that hit hard.
Oh my word. Speaking of hitting hard, the Nox gas goes down from the Caustic. 100 Thieves looking pretty strong in this fight. However, they're going to have to back up here. Scurry's going to have to be extremely careful as now they do retreat. SSG once again in position to steal away a couple of kills in the feed as well. Tech has managed to stay alive here for Furia as well. Down on the low ground, you can see one team taking a heck of a lot of damage as well. But it looks like 100 Thieves have managed to reposture themselves inside of this truck now, and the Spitfire in the hand of Vayne as well. We know how the chopper can sing.
I mean, it's job done from Tech. If he can get into the top 10, they got their kills when they got that wipe initially on Sheesh. Then he manages to, of course, Valkyrie away. If you can get to the top 10, there's some placements, and who knows, maybe you can get up into the top 5 as well. That's entirely possible. We've seen a few successful rat strategies work out throughout the entirety of this tournament already. 100 Thieves are in such a good spot right now, though, when you look at where that circle's going. The van that they're in and the building that there's just northwest of them are going to be two of the hottest places right now. having a caustic is huge here because you can defend this, you can use it to cut off sightlines a little bit as well. You make it so awkward for all of the other teams that are trying to kind of get shots off you, trying to get nades on you, or trying to take the position off of you.
Well, is it a van? Is it a truck? Is it a train? Who knows? But one thing I can tell you is it's time for a listen-in with 100 Thieves.
90 off reds.
Remember, don't red eye. Be smart, but don't hesitate. We fucking win this game.
Solo team up here. No Gibble either.
I didn't want to pour down the drinks. I know that's bad.
Don't lose focus of your main targets.
I'm hard looking up here. That team is far. We should let that team leave. We should let this team go up. We should let them. Then we can look down.
The Wraith is fucked.
Shoot this guy in the open. Crack him.
She's weak. She's weak. She's weak.
Gibby's almost cracked too. Belt slash.
Gibby's one.
We should look behind us, I think. We should look down here.
Yep. Do it now.
Watch this door. I don't see anything. We should look back here now. We should probably look back here.
Yeah, we gotta look at these pipe team. Look at the pipe team. Yep.
Put an arc on that.
There's a guy here. Careful.
It's gotta be a rat.
Can we get inside maybe? Because knocks on both. There's crates inside. Can we get...
We were listening to 100 Thieves there, Dan, but somehow Furia still have Tech alive, and he is a problem now for Vayne and 100 Thieves.
He's just gone down, so finishing in 4th place. So that is a really impressive rat strategy. It's worked out for them. Now we're down to 3, and 100 Thieves are slap bang in the middle of this zone. Similar to what we saw SSG try and do in the previous game. Just hold center, make sure you're all communicating, make sure you're watching every angle, do enough damage to make it difficult for teams to push you.
100 Thieves doing a lot of damage. The Spitfire starting to sing, starting to hit those high notes as Vayne now looks down on side of this building and he's just trying to see if he can see any signs of life in front of there. That's going to give the information. However, he's not going to be able to smash through that door quite yet as there is that other team up on the high ground. So for 100 Thieves and for every single team that's still involved in this fight, Estro Esports being one of them, it's a game of patience now, Dan, trying to force one team into the other.
Yeah, you've got a little bit of time to work with here. Everyone just kind of puffing their chests out at one another to say, actually, we've got the best spot. No, we've got the best spot. No, we're going to do more damage. And just by doing damage, you can at least push teams back. And if you get a knock, that's when it gets interesting.
Oh, 100 Thieves, they're going to have to use the bubble now for that res. However, look at this. One team is going to be padding in. Sinus, please. Might have just decided it's time to go. Vayne manages to get one. Omnu manages to get one as well. And then Sinus, please, now find themselves down to 1. Omnu managed to escape for now. However, he will fall. Vayne's still alive. He'll go back in after hitting the battery, but this just opens the door for Estro Esports to come in and surely finish things off. And that will be the win going to Estro.
I think Sinus, please, they had to push out at some point, right? They recognized there was a vulnerability. They saw the bubble, they saw the knock, and they said, we're probably not getting out of this building alive. If we stay here, if this carries on being a stagnant fight, we finish in 3rd place. We've got a chance to finish in 2nd place at a very minimum here if we try and push this other team. I'm not sure, though, if they even did finish in 2nd. I didn't see who actually went down first because Estro just mopped both teams up at the same time. But Estro will be delighted to see that kind of octane soaring across the mountain there to give them the advantage in the fight. But it was the knock from Estro that initiated it all. It was 100 Thieves who managed to get 2nd place in the end. So the Sinus Please push didn't work out for them. But still, a lot of points between those top 3 teams.
Well, as I say, my any language outside of English is very poor, but I will say vamo to Estro Esports. A fantastic performance from them, taking home 1st place, 20 points on the boards. Furia, though, Tech with the rat strategies that we know and we love, getting him into 4th place. 3 kills on the board for them. We saw those kills go down as well, and a much better performance in that game number 2 from CLG as well.
Also, shout out Furia. I mean, what a rat that was from Tech. And just, I mean, the way they played that game in general was quite strange when you look at it. It was very strategical, though. They rotated very late. They went through the red. They got their steps in on their pedometer, as you said. And then they just kind of held and they were silent. They waited. They got their kills. Unfortunately, the third party came in, but they did Valk away and they managed to survive. But it was Estral Esports who come out on top in the end. A decent amount of damage and well played in the final circle.
Really good rotation from them as well. We saw them in that initial building up on the high ground, which we expect a lot of the tree zones to pull towards. However, they had to then transition across to the double dome building. They picked up some big kills there. I'm pretty sure a couple of those kills went down to onto G2 on the outside of the building too, and then just timing their push at the end absolutely perfectly. It wasn't difficult at the end game for them. We might kind of put that into perspective. It was an opening given to them, but it's one thing to have the opening and it's a completely different one to take it down.
It was given to them, but they also kind of created it by getting the knock in the first place and forcing the other teams to actually make a decision. And sign us, please, they will carry on being first place. So despite the push at the end that found them in third rather than being able to take top 2, they're still in first place with 39 points. Space Station will drop down. They'll be in second, and then Xset followed by Estral, who take a mammoth leap. 9 places up to 22, and 100 Thieves also pushing themselves into the top 5.
Concerns, though, for the likes of Sentinels and Complexity. 2 games gone, of course. We still have 4 to go and a long way to go as well. But G2 as well, down in 16th, Dan. After week 1, the same could be said for
and Savage on the inside. The official PC and monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ALGS Pro League. 2 games done, 4 to go, and I'm Fallout, joined alongside Gaskin as we gear up and get ready for game number 3. But Mexico showing up big time in game 2, Dan.
Yeah, and you sound way better saying Mexico than I do. I don't even try and put the accent on it. I just sound stupid when I do, John. So I'll just say that Astral Esports were fantastic in that game. It opened up for them at the end, but the fact they got to that end circle, the way they rotated, very successful, and they will be delighted now to put those points on the board and push their way up in the leaderboards. But it's still Sign Us Please, who are in first place overall right now.
Yeah, consistency is key, right? Sign Us Please, back-to-back top 3 finishes for them. They're looking very solid right now, and if they can continue that consistency, they'll find themselves in a good spot. Space Station, middle-of-the-road game. A couple kills that they picked up and were able to get a few points. My biggest question mark is Complexity, Sentinels. Where are you at? Looking forward to seeing them bounce back and have a big game 3.
Yeah, I think they're going to take a look at how they're approaching this game and see where changes can be made. I think that Sentinels don't have as much freedom as they did last week. I don't know whether that's people watching week 1 and adjusting their playstyles, whether it's the meta developing ever so slightly from week 1 to 2 with more cryptos turning up here or there and more teams playing edge. Sentinels don't seem to be able to have as much success just running at other teams, playing those third parties themselves, because they're getting third partied when they enter those fights. So it's a very difficult line to try and balance yourselves on.
Yep, that's exactly right. We see 100 Thieves in 5th place overall. That was a big last game that they found themselves in top 3. Furia, led by Tech, alongside Zera Tricky, Mr. Haculo, having a really, really solid last game as well. They sneak into the top 6. But of course, it is Sign Us Please and Space Station leading the way here as a result of 2 games. But guess what? Let the Apex games begin, because game number 3 is ready. We're about to drop in to World's Edge and see, will Sentinels be able to finally show some life here? Will Space Station Gaming and Sign Us Please continue their consistency? Those are the key things I'm looking out for going into this next game.
Yeah, if Sentinels get going here, then this could mean bad news for the rest of the lobby, because Sentinels, they picked up 90 plus points or whatever it was, 70 plus points. I can't even remember. It was that many points now. It was too many for me to even calculate. Yeah, it was just stupid amount of points. They've only just had 2 bad games, right? They could quite easily just have blasted through these next 4 and suddenly find themselves in first place. So other teams need to be well aware of that, but it's whether there's going to be a little bit of doubt in the camp of Sentinels, because they haven't been able to find that success, because they're not bouncing off of wins, because they're not bouncing off of kills. Questions start to be asked, maybe arguments start to happen as well between teammates. I'd love to see them bounce back in game 3 here. We'll have to see what happens.
And then, guess what's this team's name? I can't really remember. How do you say this? My man.
Yeah, he gave it to me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I've got to set you up for that one. We got aboard with the one and only Nicewig, a prize in Timmy. Excited to see them. Obviously, they're rotating through over on their side of the map. Meanwhile, look at the top left of your screen. You see Torrent, and you do see Sign Us Please. So impressive for Sign Us Please to be doing so well. Obviously, the first game, they had the ring end up exactly where they wanted. This is going to be a far rotation for them all the way down to Lava Siphon. And I think this ring is going to pull even further southeast. So pretty much close to a max rotation for them, Gaskin.
Yeah, I mean, a circle that's just finished between Tree down at the bottom and over towards launch site is now going to be heading over to launch site again. So it's a dead south rotation for so many teams, and they're probably just going to be sighing as they have to move their way across the map soon. They have to just say, we can't loot for too long, boys, unless, of course, they have a Valkyrie, and then maybe they can wait a little bit longer. As for CLG, though, it is another very close zone for them. They do have time to just have a decision here as to whether they want to loot, whether they want to try and hold things down, whether they want to push out to the edge. That is something that we do see some teams do when the circle is very close to their drop spot. They look for kills. But certainly at the moment, CLG are looking to try to transition somewhere else towards the green zone where they've got the beacon information.
That's right. CLG, Counterlogic Gaming Organization, with such a significant history in Apex Legends. They signed the original roster of Madness, Noko, and Nicewig way early on before picking up, of course, Madness's squad, who ended up playing incredibly well, winning multiple championships under the CLG banner. Since then, well, brand new roster has not started at that same level that we're expecting to see CLG play. We'll see if CLG could have a better game number 3. Meanwhile, Esports Arena, a team that got second place last week, is doing well in the overall standings. They drop on the southeast side of the map over towards Lava City. They find themselves rotating and finding themselves in a pretty good spot here over towards Big Mob.
A team that I've kind of slowly fallen a little bit in love with, I think, as Apex has grown, just seeing them compete in kind of lower level Apex Legends and then growing into the more competitive side and then qualifying for the huge tournaments, and now here in the ALGS Pro League. It really has been an amazing story for them to really develop from just, you know, your normal team who just enters tournaments hoping you'll do well to realizing they're actually pretty darn good at this game. And we'll see whether they can find more success here in week number 2. As for Sign Us Please, we saw they were first in the leaderboard overall. They had 2 top 3 back-to-backs, and they'll want to continue that consistency to really give themselves a chance to pick up some serious points here in week 2.
That's right, very good rotation from them. They're trying to work their way past Skyhook. They got all the loot that they wanted, sitting in a pretty good spot, but a team nearby, so they got to be a little cautious. And it looks like Nades are going to be tossed. A little bit of a Hail Mary there. Is this team, whoever it is behind them, playing with a lot of aggression?
Well, it's a Fuse, so maybe it's Furia, because we know that we have seen Tech and the rest of the chaps with a very long rotation in the previous game. They managed to get the Fuse off, and they managed to pick up some kills against Sheesh in the previous, but then they were third-partied, but then they managed to rat out and still pick up some decent placements. But Sign Us Please are not having any of it. They're retreating ever so slightly, repositioning and saying we don't need to be taking this fight, but if they do push us, let's at least make sure we've got the high ground so we have the advantage.
Yeah, a little high ground double back here from Sign Us Please. You like to see it. We actually have a chance to jump into a listen and hear the comms of Sign Us Please.
Come. I have one already.
All right, I'm 0808.
Around lunch over here.
Yeah.
I'm 112.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 39.
Come up.
Let's get out of this field.
Yeah.
Like, we're comfortable with hard ed. We don't give a fuck. We can take all our time in the world.
I think they're just kind of desperate, so.
We can get beacon thermal or tree if there's nobody tree, but if it pulls over there, we're going to get held out at the choke.
I feel like someone might be tree.
We're going to get held out at the choke for sure.
If anything, we can just play texting.
Probably by G2. I think G2 plays choke usually on this type of zone.
Oh, blue backpack there?
G2 win our game?
Yeah.
They're not.
What do you mean? Pretty sure they are.
Are they? No, they're not.
So,
They
yeah.
played yesterday, bro.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, rip.
We ballooning out?
Not yet.
I think you're trolling. I think G2's in here.
Maybe. I don't think they are, though.
I'm gun out right now. I'm literally gun out.
I'm gonna just loot this shit down here real quick.
We could craft too if we need some bats. I actually have 0 bats.
I have blue bolt here. I'm 4-9. I'm good. I don't think we take the balloon. I think we just walk it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna throw a bat on.
No. I don't think we craft.
Okay.
I don't want to get caught out on craft there like this.
Okay.
I just want to walk in.
Right.
I just want to walk in.
Fine. We going. If anything, I can just do staging if we go staging
I'm
or something.
4-9. I could just drop you.
Yeah. I have Ult XL also.
This could pull back to like Harvester S building.
We could slap this beacon right here. That's our plan.
Hit geyser.
Yeah, I think we do. I think we slap this beacon and then we look for like how we want to play edge. We look for a good walk in.
I really don't want to rotate in tree if we're gonna get held out in the choke with this comp.
Yeah, it's fine. Relax. We don't really. We just hit the zone when it closes and we walk in.
Yeah.
You all have med for this? I'm 2-4.
I have 2-4 as well.
Yeah, we're good.
Hitting it really quick.
Or we might not need to. We can walk in. Let's go. After you hit beacon. Yeah, we know where this.
Yeah, this is dome. This is dome.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
we think it is. So.
Yeah, but it's probably gonna pull somewhere out here.
We can always double hit too. It's okay.
I think this is. Did you guys watch NA yesterday?
Yeah.
There was an ending that was like right here. That Zach and them were playing. They were playing the edge of this zone, the edge of this shell.
Watch for a random freaking rat, dude. Who knows?
We're good. Relax.
All right, so a little bit to dissect there. First things first, friends. G2 is in your lobby, and you know what? I don't know if that's shots fired or what, but G2 hasn't been the most relevant team in this lobby so far, so perhaps that's why they're a little confused there, Dan.
Yeah, and elsewhere we saw Esports Arena in just the picture-in-picture. They were in a little bit of trouble here in the southeast of the map, and it's something I wanted to touch on is that they've had the majority of the run of this area of the map. They were actually looting 3 POIs alone as a team because just no one else seemed to be dropping in this area. It was very confusing. It was something I saw from C9's coach that he put up on Twitter. Shout out to PvPX, by the way. Amazing to see the kind of the knowledge and the research going in from coaches in every single game, but it looks like teams have started to become wise of it, so they decide to try and join them in that area and try and pick up some of that free loot elsewhere. Furia are in a bit of a spot of bother here.
That's right, and oh my goodness, it's going to be against SXG, who's been honestly a dragging team so far in the Pro League. I've been very impressed by them. Meanwhile, it looks like ESA is going to take out Torrent, so the bad luck for Torrent continues as they get taken out yet again here early in game 3.
Complexity just making their rotation through and are going to be just comfortably landing on bridge here. It's one of these positions where you can play and it can be a decent spot to hold for some time, but if you start to kind of stack it up in teams above you and below you, it can be a little bit awkward towards the later stages. So I imagine they'll try and move on away from this area for now. We're down to 17 squads, so still a pretty healthy lobby, only a few losses in the early stages. But for the most part, teams have been able to move pretty successfully from point A to B.
Yeah, we put a lot of pressure on Complexity. We dissect this team often because the bar is so high for these three, and it's just based on the amount of respect that we have for these three. Monsoon, arguably one of the top IGLs, one of the most beloved players of this community, so incredibly talented, alongside Shiny, former member of Fnatic North America, and Reptar, a longtime duo for Monsoon on this Complexity roster. The longest lasting Complexity member in Apex Legends. The three of them make up such a great team, so we're excited to see what they can do here in game 3. On their rotation, looks like they're spotting someone out. This is an interesting push, an interesting rotation coming through from Monsoon. And that's what you can do as Wraith. You kind of have the freedom and the flexibility to go out and scout for your team. He's going to double back and get close to his team. Meanwhile, SXG, a very, very far rotation to go for them.
Just to go back to listening earlier as well, because obviously we refocused on that fight, but something I was taking away from it was the way they were saying it's going to be a dome finish, and then there was the correction of, well, we think it's going to be a dome finish. Did you see what happened yesterday in NA? And kind of the zones that were pulling here or there, and just trying to work out, is it going to be any sort of similarities to yesterday? Like, these are the zones where it could be finishing. This is something we've already seen. And even though it's sometimes impossible to predict, you do kind of go with your gut feeling of what you've already seen in previous days, even if there is no tendency, even if there is no pattern whatsoever. But as we watch SXG dealing some damage here just to try and show some presence.
That's right. SXG, who got 3rd place in the lobby of B versus C last week, on top of Renegades, on top of Complexity, on top of NRG. Very impressive showing from them. We'll see if they can just continue that success, and so far they have. I like what I'm seeing out of this young squad. Golden, Slurpee, and Zednam. Good overall materials, health, good rotation from them. They were playing Edge, and they find themselves rotating, but do have a challenge here, as it looks like there's a couple of teams trying to gatekeep.
Yeah, a lot of teams just playing Edge at the moment, and probably because they're assuming the kind of prime positions where you can play in this final circle have been taken, because it is a pretty tricky final circle to play if it is going to be that near dome, and if it's not near dome, it's going to be even more open area, it's going to be even more difficult. But here comes SXG, they want to take this fight.
That's right, and the defensive armor is going to come through from their opposing team, so the counter bubble is going to come through as well. We actually have a chance to listen in with SXG and hear their comms amidst the fury.
Yo, one shot blood. I got my knock, bro.
Heal. Get res.
Cracked the good. Nice.
Another team.
The team about to push. Get an armor slap. Guess I have my knock too.
I'm ulting.
I think we're good, bro. You can res me.
Res him.
The fuck? This guy outside my door.
Get a swap.
They're all fucking broken.
Heal up. We're good. We're fucking good. They're not gonna push. They might push. Watch nades.
I'm bubbling.
I faved gold, not even the fave. Just hold. Stay alive. We're good.
It made me bubble.
Full heal. We're gonna have to. We can play patient though.
They're behind the wall.
I'm gonna try and get angles.
Yo, swing on this. They're running.
They're running away.
We're good. Let me get some loot.
Yeah, loot up. Take your fucking time, bro. We have hella time. We got hella fucking shit. Let's fucking go. Good shit.
If alcohol did.
You know what's crazy about that listening in that scenario is the team that was right outside, again, was Complexity, who had an opportunity to push. I mean, SXG was reviving weak. Obviously, Complexity didn't have all that intel, but regardless, had a team trapped and for the 2nd game in a row decided to retreat and not take that fight. That's the difference between Complexity now and Complexity then. When they dominated with that Bloodhound team composition, they're not taking their fights and opportunities.
Also maybe a wise decision though, because we've seen more third parties today than Mark's had hot dinners. And I tell you, that is quite a lot, because that man, he knows how to eat. But Complexity, they say, look, if we push this and we fight, yeah, we get 3 KP, but what if there's someone waiting nearby that's going to steal the kills away from us, and then we go down? So instead, they're looking at the zone, they're looking at the rotations and saying, we can get into a good spot right now. We don't need to be forcing the kills. The kills will come to us if we can get a position. And there's the zone move. It moves slightly away from Dome, and it's going to be the central kind of lava area between the two. This is a horrible final circle for teams arriving late, I'm telling you.
Yeah, so good thing for obviously Complexity rotating early. We'll see if it pays off. Xset, welcome. Xset, last couple of months to the Apex Legends scene, picked up right for the championships. Now, unfortunately, claimed last member alive for this squad, and he's going to get taken out by the hands of Space Station Gaming. Frex, last alive for SSG. That caustic comes so clutch in moments like these.
Really does, and just very important to be able to have that kind of defensive legend that can help you out when you are getting pushed, or just to kind of lay down those barrels after you've got a wipe to try and deter a third party. As 100 Thieves, they're going to move their way over, but CLG in a little bit of spotter bother as well, trying to do what they can, do just about survive, but is there a third party that's going to come along? Looks like they might be okay.
They're going to wipe the full squad. Phony Fury sucks, and Scissors get taken out. Nice job by CLG.
There it is.
Do it again, though.
There's the third party. Bird goes down though. Nano has to go huge here, has to do so much because he's the one who has the shield. But it looks like they've done enough to at least push the team back ever so slightly. It's not going well because it's G2 Fallout.
And that team, yeah, exactly, is G2, who we called out going into this game. And what a game they've had so far. At least have picked up quite a few kills. I think 5 to 6 kills for G2 Esports. So the Controller boys showing up big in game number 3, playing the style of play that works so well for them, which is aggressive.
Well, a team we haven't mentioned for quite some time, ever since the start of this game, really, is Sentinels, and they are still alive as we get down to the last 11. But as I say that, Crust has just gone down in the kill feed, so perhaps I shouldn't have said anything after all. I'm really sorry, Sentinels fans, it's entirely my fault, but maybe they can pull this one out. As elsewhere, Sheesh, they're holding down this tunnel here, this vault area, and it looks like they're going to try and surprise the team, because Timmy is in such a sneaky place.
He's holding that spot. He's holding his shot for this reason. Now he just gets to reign supreme. Oh, no. This is what Timmy does. These are the Timmy plays. Starts off with 100 damage and continuing to melt right now. And it looks like Sheesh should be able to win this fight. Has to clutch out these shots. Timmy's going to want those back. And no, as I say that, Timmy unfortunately misses some of the AV8 shots. And Sheesh is going to get taken out. SXG does not lose 3v3s.
It's almost like they were just banking on that play being too successful. It didn't really work out. In fact, the bubble coming down actually went against them because the shots were ringing out from Timmy. He really had their number. They had no idea where he was. He had the success rate with the shots he was hitting, and then suddenly the bubble stopped his line of sight. He had to drop, and the fight just didn't go their way. SXG didn't fall to the ambush. I think they'll be delighted with that because sometimes those fights really can go south very quickly.
So, teams remaining. Important to note, Space Station in second place out of this one. But look at Sign Us, please, aka SUP. First place overall, still alive. All members of Sentinel still alive. And this fight that we saw in the kill feed moments ago continues on here as 100 Thieves Vayne knocked one member of Sentinels, is going to force Sentinels to back out and retreat. And Sentinels got to be careful because there's a couple teams nearby.
Yeah, it's like retreat to where? They're just retreating into more teams and more death. As we're down to 10 squads, so placement points secured now for the top 10, so at least that's job done. That's one less thing to think about. Instead, now you try and focus on just getting into this next circle. Look at the way the 100 Thieves are going to have to rotate. They need to go for a Valkyrie ult. There is no way they could do anything else here, so they're just biding their time. They're waiting for that circle to start moving, and now they're going to zip on into the air. And you've just got to hope there's somewhere you can land, because otherwise this ain't going to be pretty. This is going to be a nasty final circle.
Gosh, such a difficult decision where they will land and rotate towards, because 10 squads still remain here. So a lot of real estate's taken. Looks like they're going to find themselves one little corner, one little perch to find a rotation. Meanwhile, Sign Us, please, team that's dominated this lobby so far, actually is going to lose Tempest, all up to Synced and Wicked, the duo.
Look at the amount of space that's actually being able to be taken here from teams. When it comes to cover, there is so little cover here in going into round 5. So you imagine that the next circle is going to be even worse. But for now, Sign Us, please, just have to try and worm their way in. But you worm your way in, and there's another team already burrowed and waiting. And we see the wipe. And unfortunately for Sign Us, please, they fall down. It's going to be OXG there waiting, and they get the kills.
Meanwhile, Sentinels on the other side of the map is going to take out a full squad. Nice job by Sen. 100 Thieves on high ground. Little Valkyries going to peek their way up and say, never mind, I don't want to push that. Rotates right back to low ground. And it looks like, as I said, Sentinels actually gets taken out by the hands of SXG, saying we are the slayers of this lobby. Oxygen still alive. 7 squads remain in this late game. We got a Loba.
And it's going to be G2 still alive and kicking after a difficult situation they were in earlier. Either 8 shots, though, will ring around World's Edge here, and now you've just got to survive in the bubble, and you've got to hope another team doesn't come, but everyone's pushing each other right now because they know there's not much room to work with.
That's right. There's Anvil's gonna go down, all up to Gentrifying and Resulta. Resulta doing work, connects for 1. That's McNuggy Butt, which I think is ridiculous to say in commentary. I love this man for doing that. Gentrifying, last member alive. The third party's gonna come through. So unfortunate. Gent is doing everything he possibly can. Again, thank goodness for Caustic in these scenarios, but it's not gonna pay off as Gentrifying is getting tagged up.
He's getting tagged up, but might get the bat off here. Oxygen have lost players, 100 Thieves have lost players, and G2 as well. 3 teams that have just been kind of forced together and having to fight. It's 100 Thieves who go down first, and G2 might just be able to rescue something here as Esports Arena, the team who has dominated the southeast side of this map, that have just been able to loot for free, also find themselves in quite a power position right now, looking over quite a few teams who are struggling.
I can't believe G2 survives such clutch plays from Gentrifying in that moment to get the shield bat off, to get Resulta back, and here comes the drop. They're going to spot 1, and here comes the push. Connects for more KP, but a little over-aggressive. Gentrifying is going to be out of this one. Resulta gets taken out as well. We're down to 4 squads.
Yeah, Oxygen will go down, G2 as well. Now, Roller Theory look to be struggling as Complexity. They hold the edge of the circle, and they're being a real nuisance to those teams who are trying to rotate in. And for now, you've just got to work almost as a team, all the teams that are in the circle, kill everyone who's trying to join you, and then you focus on each other elsewhere. It's just a moment where you all come together, but look at the shred we've just seen from Monsoon.
Oh, brilliant stuff. And great rotations from Complexity. Great positioning from Complexity, showing why it was so important to rotate earlier. Playing their team comp very well. Obviously, with this Valkyrie, this Gibraltar, and this Wraith, positioning is key. Reptar going to get out of dodge and actually reset. 3 squads remain. Complexity in a great spot here.
Yeah, Complexity really in a situation where they could win this, but with 3 teams left, you could say that about any of them. Esports Arena, who have been holding this area for quite some time, do have to move a considerable distance to the center of this circle, so that's why they're trying to do damage right now. It's all about trying to force the fight between the other teams. Complexity doing the same, they're popping damage back, but who is the third team? I haven't even seen who the third team is. Is it a rat? Is it a full team? If we can get some vision on it, it's going to be SXG, and I'm fairly certain SXG, they have had damage done to their team, so it's going to be a question of how healthy they are. Are they a full 3? They are a full 3, but boy are they low. They're really struggling right now, caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, ESA is putting in absolute work. It's going to be a heated finish, quite literally here. Nice shot by ESA, pushing up against SXG. Looks like they're going to trade knock for knock here. Slurpee gets 1, and Complexity is just watching the action ensue and enjoying the party. They'll be the third to the party. And as a result, Complexity will be your champion of the lobby. Well played from Complexity. Out rotations, out positions, and secures a win. That was huge.
Well, we said we needed answers from Complexity. We needed to see them do something a little bit different. They didn't take that fight earlier. You said it's not quite like Complexity. We're used to seeing them push in, being aggressive, but now they're playing with their brains. They knew that third parties are very apparent here in these lobbies. They positioned early, which is difficult to do in a Valkyrie meta, but they certainly just watched everything unfold in that last circle. It was almost made too easy for them, but they forced it. They did damage to both of the other teams and forced them to fight.
Yeah, and that game's a perfect example of why rotations and why positioning is so important. Complexity found one of the best spots, predicted the ring so incredibly well, and really did not face a ton of struggle in that late game. They predicted the ring was going to pull towards kind of dome side, and as a result, well, 6 kill, first place finish, 18 points, but the story of this game is SXG with a 16 kill performance. That's 1 behind their 17 kill performance last week. SXG is proving that they are probably the best slaying team in this entire tournament.
Yeah, SXG, the real winners here with the amount of points they were able to accumulate. Esports Arena also putting out a decent amount with 8 kills, getting the 17 points. And I wonder whether SXG were just kind of mopping up all these fights that were occurring as we got towards the end of the game, because there was one point between Oxygen, between G2, between 100 Thieves. All 3 teams were going at it, but no team was able to actually get the wipe or get the kills. And SXG, probably from a distance, were just peppering away. They managed to get some frags. They got an insane amount of kills. And even though Complexity won the game, I think we know who the real winners were indeed. But it was a better game from Complexity, and it was one they certainly very much needed.
That's right. Nice job from Complexity. A 6-kill first place finish. SXG gets 16 kills and 23 points, but that's going to do quite a bit for Complexity, who was all the way down in 12th place with 6 points overall. That'll certainly put them within the top 5. Kudos and congrats to Complexity. A big win right there. Space Station goes down early. Sinus Please went down relatively early, I believe, in 8th or 9th place, so that opened the door wide open, Gaskin.
It did. A better performance from Sentinels. They got to later stages of the game being in 7th position. I almost cursed them as soon as I started mentioning them. A player went down. I panicked a little bit. I just know that Sentinels fans are there waiting to tweet me to say it was my fault. But I predicted them, guys. I predicted they were going to do well today. But again, maybe that makes me the problem here. I'm just going to shut up. I just won't say anything.
You're just digging yourself in a deeper and deeper hole,
I am.
my friend. Clearly, it's all your fault, even though I predicted them too. I'm just going to lay low-key under the covers here. We'll see if Sentinels can perform, and really, they have 3 more games to do it. We'll see if they can do it. Of course, we're going to welcome back Persia to the desk here. Persia, 3 games in. What are you enjoying so far?
3 games in, and what I'm enjoying is that by the 3rd game, I'm seeing some restlessness almost from the players. They're so hungry. They want to get these kills. SXG dropping all those points. Round 5 wasn't even closing yet, and that kill feed looked like a CVS receipt. All right, I could not believe how much action was being fit in before we even got to our final ring. And honestly, I want to take a look at some of the clips from Game 1, Game 2, and obviously Game 3. Tell me about some of the differences that you saw fall out from game number 1 here and as we progress.
Yeah, well, the story for game 1 was Space Station Gaming and their ability to not only be well positioned, but to also slay along the way. Every step of the way, you saw Space Station absolutely fragging out, under pressure, still able to perform. Of course, their team comp of Valkyrie, Caustic, and Gibraltar helped them in the late game, especially as they're able to use that Gibraltar Dome Shield and defensive bombardment to perfection and clean up a win. Gas, what were you seeing?
I think we're seeing teams have to try and work out where are the spots we can hold in the end game going to be, which is where Valkyrie teams are going to look to drop. So even though it might look like it's going to be a quote-unquote god spot, you don't really want to go for that. Instead, you want to go for somewhere that's going to be a little bit quieter, where those Valkyrie teams maybe don't have the access to, whether that be a building, whether that be under a little ledge, or whether that just be kind of away from the priority positions, because then you can mop up the pieces when all the Valk teams just drop on each other and just the carnage unfolds. We've seen that from a few teams who have found victories here today, but at the same point, if you are one of the Valk teams, you've really got to decide and appropriately position yourself at the right time. We've seen some teams go for the early rotations with the Valk, some teams go for the late rotations, and I think you either need to be the first team or the last team. If you're anything in between, you just get caught in the madness.
That's a great point. Timing is absolutely crucial with these Valk team comps. Unfortunately, here in Game 2, Complexity got taken out, but their Valk rotation was on point in Game 3. They were the first to rotate, and as a result, in Game number 3, it was all Complexity, but the story was stolen. The show was absolutely taken away by the hands of SXG. I'm sure they'll be all over the highlight reel. Complexity found themselves in an early fight. Did some good work there, but SXG just fragged out in Game 3, guys.
Yeah, I'm impressed with how SXG were able to pick up that amount of kills, and honestly, I hope we do have footage of just how they were able to pick it up, aside from this one fight we witnessed. But look at what a difference it could have been, because Complexity were putting pressure on them, and they didn't push them. If Complexity had taken down SXG, we might not have seen SXG manage to find as much success, or Complexity may not have won the game. It does show that sometimes you need to show respect to the people you're playing against, because otherwise it can not just punish you, their game, but it can also punish your game as well. This was the big one though from SXG, wasn't it? We saw Sheesh waiting, they were going for the ambush, but SXG still won this fight Fallout, which for me was one of the biggest ones that I've seen. And I mean, Persia, you were watching this unfold. You must have been like, how on earth have they been able to do it?
In that last fight we just saw against Team Sheesh, it was a heartbreaker, but you called it perfectly how the bubble kind of cut off the line of sight for Timmy. Didn't quite work out, but you got to give it to SXG for taking on those fights early, taking on third parties early. It's kind of the same theme we saw out of Guild, that taking those early third parties can give you the points that are going to set you apart from the rest of the group. And now we're taking a look at the overall leaderboard to see exactly how that played out for SXG. But look at Sinus, please. Look at him up there, Fallout.
Yeah, they're doing so well. Obviously slowed down a little bit finally in game number 3, but the consistency from them has been great alongside Space Station. But SXG moves up 6 places. Complexity moves up 7 places. So that's a big game from them. Esports Arena, who I know we've been a little big on. Gaskin, you've been big on. They go up 4 places as well.
Yeah, Esports Arena has been an interesting one. As I mentioned, and just in case people didn't hear in the commentary, you may have seen on Twitter, PvPX was tweeting out the kind of positioning of where people were dropping, where people were looting. Esports Arena had 3 POIs in the bottom right. Like, they just had so much room to work with, so much room to loot, and I'm hoping that's changed. I'm hoping someone's noticed that and might take, like, Big Mord off of them, for example, so that at least they don't have the complete run of the southeast area of the map, because otherwise that happens. They got so much loot, they got so much room, then they were just able to wait, they were patient, and they finished with a really impressive finish in the end.
And speaking of tweets, for those of you at home, tweet to us. Use hashtag ALGS. Hit us up on Twitter at @PlayApexEsports and let us know how you're feeling about the competition today. Who do you like? Who's your favorite player? Because we want to know. All of our socials are right here on your screen. Twitter at @PlayApexEsports, YouTube at @PlayApexEsports, and of course Twitch at PlayApex. We're looking forward to hearing from you, and we are also looking forward to seeing more Apex. So let's hop to this quick break and then we'll play the next game.
Well, the second half is about to get underway here of the Apex Legends Global Series North American Pro League, and it's going to be myself, Onset, and Fallout to take you through our next game. That is the fourth one of 6, John, and what a return to complexity, to form. Finally, they get that win on the board.
Yeah, it was a win that they needed. Played that to perfection. Again, early rotation from them, opting not to take that fight against SXG, which actually ended up working for both teams, right? SXG survives, places top 3, Complexity wins the game, ended up being the right decision in that game. Obviously, the game before that we casted, not necessarily the case. They decided not to play and take a fight, and as a result, rotating to Skyhook got taken out. So deciding to play less aggressive, more rotational is Complexity, worked off big time, paid dividends in game 3.
Now let's talk about SXG, and I have to be careful every time I'm saying this because you've got SXG, we've got SSG. For someone as simple as me, John, it becomes very, very confusing. But what isn't confusing is the fact that they are fragging out right now. Every time I look at the kill feed, SXG, 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 they are putting up so many kills in this lobby, and it's transferring into points like we just saw.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been scary to see, to be honest with you. In EU, we have Scars. 3v3 fights, arguably the best 3v3 pound-for-pound team in the game. And obviously in North America, you'd expect that title to be in the hands of NRG of Sentinels. But it's been SXG that's really shown that they are some of the best fraggers and slayers and shooters in the game. It is hard to take these guys down in a 3v3.
It's been really, really impressive. One team, or should I say 2 teams, that I'm a little bit concerned about, though, are Sentinels. Understandably, what a turnaround it's been from their performance in week 1 to what we see now. But also G2. G2 really struggling to find any kind of groove whatsoever to speak of.
Yeah, that's right. They got into a little bit of a groove, started shaking a little bit, moving a little bit. Last game, they burst up 5 placements, are in 10th or 11th place right now, but not nearly anything worth talking about, anything notable. We need to see a big performance here from G2 in this next game if they won't even want a chance at surviving here going into game 5.
Well, they're going to need to step it up right now, John, and it is time to do so. 3 games remaining in today's action. 3 bangers to start things off. If Emil was, setting the standards, I'm sure everyone can agree who's watching right now that North America so far has joined in with that kind of level. Well, as you can see, we're going to start off with CLG here, who have had a little bit of an up and down day so far. Some decent zones going their way, John. To be honest with you, after that game 1, I was concerned, but they've managed to bring it back and then put some decent points on the board.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see what the LG could do, dropping over in Tree uncontested. So they've gotten a few zones that have been helpful for them. Bird, Natra, and Nano. We'll see how this Caustic, Gibraltar, and Valkyrie team comp, which is so popular here in North America. You didn't see a whole lot of that in EMEA. A lot of teams in EMEA opting for Wraith. Your thoughts on going a Wraithless team comp, Mark?
It works if you get a good position early. Yeah. Otherwise, I think that you can struggle a little bit to find somewhere late. And that's where this composition can be a little bit griefy. If you're Valkyrie redeploying in late, if you go for that skyward dive and you land and kind of your thought is, we're going to get a bubble down and we're going to throw a stink bomb at someone, basically, to try and zone out another team who might be in the vicinity. So I think that's where some problems come with it. It is so reliant, in my opinion, on finding an early spot to play. If you can, it's crazy effective. You have 2 of the best defensive characters in the game, and you have the ability for Valkyrie to obviously get you into that position. But I still like the ability to make a micro rotation in that endgame. I have to be honest with you, but it's working out for a lot of these teams. I still think we're going to see these comps develop as we see more and more games go through. And also as we get to see our circle, we're heading back to fairly central in the map. It's very similar zone to what we saw in EMEA earlier.
Yep, yeah, that's right. And we also saw a very similar one towards Countdown at least, but a different finish. The finish in this zone is going to be fairly in the open. That's important to talk about, right? Late games where you have a lot of buildings, a lot of real estate means rotate early, secure the best building in the game, and kind of post up. This zone is going to be absolutely chaotic because there's not a whole lot of cover. It's fairly open zone, a lot of no man's land, so it'll be a chaotic finish, that's for sure. I'm interested to see how Complexity plays this. Do they decide to go for an early rotation to try and find a spot? Because in this type of zone, it might actually be scary. It might actually work against you to rotate early because then you find yourselves getting focused by teams that are working in.
It's a tough one for sure. And I think a lot of teams will be having that thought process go through their mind right now. Do we want to think that we have the timing to beat other teams to a spot that we want to play? Are there other spots that we know are available if we can't get our initial spot? Or do we want to play a little bit slower? Like you mentioned, play towards the edge of zone, see where those openings appear, and then try and capitalize on them when they do appear. But each of the strategies comes with its own risk, right? You try and play for an early spot, someone's there, all of a sudden you're on the back foot immediately. You might have to take an early fight. You could be out in the first 5 or 6 teams. However, if you play edge, there's no guarantee that there's going to be a way in towards that zone with teams moving in. So it's a tough zone to play. You're completely right.
Yeah, it is. Just Complexity finds a team rotating through a balloon and doing a good job just getting as much loot as possible. That's the wise decision. I think that you don't want to necessarily way too early rotate for the reasons we've talked about. Instead, loot up as much as possible. See if you can find a couple edge teams here. Meanwhile, 100 Thieves, another team that's going to have a really far rotation to go. They find themselves in Harvester on their rotation from a launch site where they're dropping, likely playing against a potential CLG squad that might be here in Harvester with them on their rotation.
Yeah, a little bit of a tough start here for 100 Thieves. Not only not the armor that they want to be playing with, but also taking a lot of damage. So CLG are that team, you're quite right, who are making their rotation already towards, from tree, I should say, through Harvester. And to be honest with you, I think the CLG are just going to try and get that damage down to maybe beat their opposition 100 Thieves on timing, but it looks like a change of direction here, a change of rotation. That's what I mean about plan A and plan B, right? They do have Valkyrie as well, so they can go over the top of this mountain range if this tunnel is currently occupied or if there's a team in landslide. But if they can hold this down, they might be comfortable for some time, especially gatekeeping any other teams coming from the south.
Yeah, they're going to opt to not get that extra loot. I mean, there must be well kitted from tree. Just continue their rotation through. And you said plan A, plan B. That's spot on. What people don't realize is that these pro players have worked and perfected these strats, these rotations, right? That is, when we say rotation, it's, hey, okay, plan A, plan B, plan C. What are the potential zones that you can pull? And as a result, where can we potentially rotate that gives us the most amount of flexibility, freedom? They practice these rotations and they have a few different options in the book time and time again in scrims and in other competitions. As now SSG finds himself on their rotation as well over a countdown.
Yeah, Space Station being pretty smart about things here. They actually managed to get a knock, and I'm pretty sure they secured the KP as well onto Estral Esports, but a couple of shots came in from that upper building also here in Countdown, so they decided not to get too aggressive because of the fact that third party might have been on the horizon. Should that fight have taken an extra 5-10 seconds than what they would have wanted it to take. So smart decision making here from Space Station. Those little things are what can change your game, to having 2 KP and going out in 19th place, to getting towards end game, to picking up 7-8 on your way to doing so. Small details here, and the attention to detail from Space Station is something which really does separate them for me.
Yeah. And just to see where the zone's going to pull, is like going to continue to pull towards Countdown, or will pull further east. Kind of hoping for an eastward pull and kind of a crazy finish with not a whole lot of cover, as we've been kind of previewing and talking about. Space Station made a quick rotation over from their drop spot. Good job to them. They do typically drop Lava Fissure and have been controlling Lava Fissure, the entire drop spot throughout. Meanwhile, we do have Sign Us Please nearby, and it looks like... Yeah, okay, it's going to be... You haven't been able to pick this up for free. Leveling up shield. Sign Us Please is the other side of that mountain.
Yeah, nice little portal in to get that care package. Maybe not the weaponry they were looking for, but a purple armor is never going to be turned down in a... Very often you get to leave your POI with every single player coated out in the velvet purple or golds or whatever it might be. So everything's going to be very, very useful that's coming in those care packages. But for now, 100 Thieves, we saw them earlier on over in Harvester. They've made their way towards the train tunnel now. Furia now making their move. And once again, I'm very interested in the way that Furia have rotated already today. John, as you see, they're actually going to be landing on a team, and Zeratrick is going to take a few bullets on his way down, so this might be a little bit more of a rough landing than they thought.
Yeah, this is an interesting decision. Like you said, the rotations have been certainly interesting because they do drop Countdown. And they had Countdown, I think, uncontested, but decided to do a little swap and work on the outside. So they're predicting a different type of pull here. Not sure if that's the right play or the right pull, but perhaps there's method to their madness. Perhaps there's something we don't know as Furia wants to take that 3v3 fight, it looks like. Meanwhile, the winners of game number 2 is Astral Esports. They're alive and currently well.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a res that managed to come in for them. They're moving away from where that res beacon was, so they're back up to full health for now. And you can see we have a full lobby, 60 players that's still alive. So nobody in the observer screen right now watching their teammates do the rest of the business for them. Esports Arena, they're making their move. And I'd be very interested to actually watch a full game from Esports Arena and tune into one of their streams to see how they do approach this, because it's so often that they find themselves in a great spot towards endgame. And they're so good at pressurizing teams as well. But I tell you what, I don't want to make too much noise. And I don't know if it's just me as a commentator thing, but I think I'm going to give things away if I make too much noise. But here is Sentinels, and good morning, good night to Esports Arena.
That is also just Lou doing Lou things with the flatline melting, turns, and trusts his teammates to finish that kill, and immediately starts doing the same thing to the other 2 members of that squad. Obviously, a complete ambush right there, so not much that ESA can do, but boy, oh boy, is it not entertaining to watch Lou do his thing.
Everybody at home has seen that meme, right, where it just goes, do-do-do-do-do. We'll be right back. If that pause, just as that Gibby walk around the corner into 3 of the crosshairs, somebody get on Twitter, somebody make it happen, and somebody tag us, because I'd enjoy that one for sure. G2 now, one of the teams I mentioned at the start who need desperately to step it up in this game have now landed on top of this drill tower, which by the looks of things might actually be where this zone is ending. We do see finishes around here. Gentrifying taking a huge amount of damage, but just about managing to survive here. And the fact that they do have Caustic here is going to give them that cover that they need to survive.
Yeah, and that's a brilliant rotation from G2. They love to play this drill tower whenever they can. And not only that, but they're coming all the way from thermal station. So I'm a bit shocked that no one else took that God spot prior to them landing there. But a wise decision to leverage that Valkyrie ult to get good positioning. That's that sweet spot of when you want to rotate early with Valkyrie to get that position early. And now they find themselves in a favorable spot. Sentinels, though, has to continue to play edge, has to continue to rotate as they're coming all the way from Lava Siphon after wiping the first squad here.
They do. They've picked up some KP. Let's see what the next move is here for Sentinels and jump into a listen in.
Go for a second until he leaves because he's being a little weird.
Be careful crossing here, because they could just go to beam town on you.
It's pretty bad. Yeah. This kid's up in the tunnel right now.
Okay, fighting guns would be pretty aids with this team shooting us, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, we just need to. Let's just chill for a second. That team shouldn't stay there forever. I only imagine they gotta leave soon.
I feel like
bro.
they will, and they're just gonna vote.
You think they'll stay?
Low key, I think they will.
Well, if they do, then we just chill here and we don't fight it and we just wait and we just keep the team in the tunnel pressured. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And once that team leaves, we can fight the team in the tunnel from our side.
For whatever.
Come to me, actually. We can all walk up right now and maybe kill someone in the tunnel if we all walk up. Just walk up with your gun out. With your gunny. Let the gunny do the talking.
Let your gunny do the talking?
Yeah.
Sprinting that, Johnson.
They're deep, they're deep, they're deep.
You guys,
they're holding from landslide side.
You guys got the goat ang.
That's good. They're holding it like they're like gonna rotate in the landslide eventually. I think they just want the option to rotate. Let's go back, let's hold this, and then we hold the head glitch right there. We're still doing the same rotate though. We're just gonna rotate up the wall from frag west up into like the choke.
They're still on top. What's that? Ace frag.
That's fine.
Ace frag, whatever it's called.
So Sentinels, you can hear the communication there, John. Very interesting for me. Just kind of trying to scope out the lay of the land, see where teams are moving, and trying to predict what other teams are doing before they choose to make their next move in the ring.
Yeah, and having some fun along the way with that gunny, my man Lou.
Let your gunny do the talking.
Let the gunny do the talking, you know. And if Lou ever decides to hang up the keyboard and mouse, I guess if you will, as a pro player, he has a career in voice acting, the deepest voice I think of anyone I know. But jokes aside, shout out to Sentinels and this Lou squad. Great comms for sure.
So they managed to creep forward here, and it looks like they might want to try and pressurize 100 Thieves who are inside of this tunnel. However, pressurizing is one thing, and spreading some baked beams all the way down that tunnel is another one, as those shots hit very, very hard. That's going to force 100 Thieves back a little bit. However, two players were still holding head glitches. So this isn't a simple move here for Sentinels. They're not going to try and push unless they get extreme damage done onto these players, and that's not going to be enough here from Senox. And once again, they're just waiting, trying to pressurize maybe these two teams to actually fight each other.
Yeah. If anyone wants to take the damage in this trade here, it is Senox, obviously with a gold shield. So doesn't have to use as many resources. Meanwhile, 100 Thieves find themselves potentially getting sandwiched. You never want to be the meat in the sandwich. You want to be the bread. Shout to my man Hodzik, who always says that one back in his ALGS commentator days. I miss having my man Hodzik on the desk with us. But nonetheless, on board of Sentinels right now as they're keeping a close eye on 100 Thieves currently mid-tunnel.
Well, she's currently getting a tan as they are in zone and they are taking some damage as well. So it looks like plan A isn't working for them. This looks like maybe we're going a little bit deeper into the alphabet and a little bit deeper into the playbook for how they need to move next. Timmy does have the ability to take his team up into the skies, though, and find a spot to play if he chooses to. Maybe they're just going to make sure they get the meds on first so they can take that damage that they need to. Timmy going to take to the skies. Valkyrie away. And the Skyward Dive will now take them in towards zone. But you can see from what we've been watching, John, this isn't going to be an easy move for them. We still have 17 squads alive as I see G2 falling in the kill feed. And that is not good news for G2 fans. This is the fourth game of the day, and it hasn't been a day to remember for them.
That's right. That is an unfortunate drop for G2 and G2 fans all around, but it looks like Sheesh was able to find some positioning here. They will have to rotate soon. They have a team nearby. I'd love to jump into listening with Sheesh and hear their comms.
Focus back, focus back, focus back. Can't see, I have no angles. All you, nice. They fell off, they're fine. We can play down below on the right side if we need to.
I need the ult cell. Do you have it? Who has it?
I gave it to you.
I used it. I used it. No, I used it.
Okay, fine. That's fine. 100% okay. We can play on the bottom right here. In countdown. We're okay.
86.
Yeah, I'm looking. Can't really fight this because the team on the left is looking.
Yeah, I'm
I
also
have 2
running out of
cells
meds.
left. Yeah, I have 2 cells left.
I can drop you.
Okay. Down. Thank you. We're gonna need a fall and just hold there, boys. That's it. It's our only option.
Oh, I actually stood down.
I watch this team into this team in front of us.
Wait. Pay attention above us. I think I just showed a Valkyrie. I think I just showed a Valkyrie.
as well. We're good. I'm looking. Watching right now. We're fine.
Yeah, no, we're good.
We're chilling.
I think we're good.
We got this shit, boys.
I broke both of their doors, by the way.
Nice, it's huge. It's good.
Team out. They're rotating away. They're rotating away.
Are they?
They're playing this. We can take this 3v3. I'm just saying that right now.
Might be able to. We're gonna have to do it soon though if we're gonna do this, boys.
Yeah, they're good. They're gone. We
should take this up. Can we get in there? Oh, they have traps down here.
You should place traps.
We're good.
I'm watching backdoor. I'm watching backdoor for you.
I'm looking.
I'm not close.
I have nades as well.
I'm not close. If they bubble, I'm gonna go onto you.
Oh, it's cracked one. I'm taking 2. I'm taking 3.
I'm throwing my ult deep in there. I'm throwing it deep in there.
Throw deep. Bubbling. Help me heals. I'm looking.
They're all on the other side. They're all on your side.
I can't look to me. I can't see.
All on your side.
He's stuck.
You got stuck. Back up.
I dropped down.
This caustic, you can't. Might just have to drop and leave me.
We come up. Fuck.
I can't. Ulting that as well. Just make sure they don't look at us. They have caustic traps down here as well. Oh my god. I'm healing. I'm popping heals.
Wow, what we just saw from Frex and SSG right there was brilliant. Great team firing beams. A prize knocks him and thwarts off the threat of the opponents right there. Well done, well played. This is where G2 got taken out, and it looks like 100 Thieves is going to read the result.
Yeah, a little bit of loot for 100 Thieves to take, and 15 squads now remaining as Sheesh were eliminated, I'm pretty sure, in the last few seconds or so. Certainly Nicewig went down, so we'll have to keep our eyes on that feed to see if that was indeed the case. But look at the teams that have been eliminated so far. Esports Arena, unfortunately, I hyped them up too much. They're gone. G2 Sentinels also eliminated. Bad Boys and OXG gone. Sentinels and G2, John. Not a day to remember whatsoever for either of those lineups.
Yeah, indeed. Unfortunate games for them. Meanwhile, Complexity loses Reptar. Still has Monsoon and Shiny alive, but look at their positioning right now. Less than ideal. Monsoon dipping and dodging, doing what he can, and thank goodness for the Dome Shield of Shiny, but you think it's just delaying the inevitable here.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit tough for them. However, if there's a one team that can turn this around, a 2v3 into a victory, then it's going to be Complexity. Unfortunately, Monsoon just not connecting. Complexity out, and it's Senior Service once again in the kill feed, delivering the damage. That's more kills for them, and they were the team, John, who took out Sentinels as well.
Yeah, Senior Service looking really, really strong. Golden of SXG was able to actually steal one of those. And look at this, SXG again find themselves in a aggressive position, looking to take some kills and take some fights. This is likely going to be Senior Service right in front of them, I believe. So that's a tough 3v3 to take against Noko and Co. They've been looking great as of the Pro League.
Yeah, certainly two teams who are riding high on momentum from the fights they've taken and won so far in this game number 4. Another team that's very noticeable so far in the kill feed is Space Station. Not only the knock they managed to pick up and the kill they managed to pick up a little bit earlier on against Sheesh, but they keep popping up. I'm seeing the Prowler of Frex doing work. I'm seeing a charge rifle pop up as well to assist, and they really seem to be working well. But I tell you what, that defensive bombardment has just done a hell of a lot of damage.
Right, meanwhile, we got a rat in our picture-in-picture. Nice shot from SSG pushing up, and that's going to be it. Nice kills picked up, but Blitzen's going to join the fight here. So it's a 3-way party, and SXG finds themselves getting the last laugh. A great push, but Zetnim perhaps a little over-aggressive. He's going to get shut down by Davis. Slurpee G needs to go big with the wingman. Misses a couple, but connects for the ones that matter.
Slurpee G cleaning up the mess that was left behind. That Senior Service now out, so their strong start in this game is slowed down to a halt, as now down to 2 players. Golden and Slurpee G have to do the work. There's a team trying to gatekeep them up on this hill as well, but look at that damage from the wingman. The problem is the zone is doing all the damage here to Slurpee G. He falls to his knees as we now jump over to Furia. They're involved in a bubble fight. They get 2, as now we're down to 10 squads.
And look at this. 100 Thieves was able to just skirt their way on to this God spot and high ground and really get it for free. Didn't have to do a whole lot to earn that because someone else did the work taking out G2. We missed that fight, but whoever took out G2 did 100 Thieves a huge favor. And now 100 Thieves with a brilliant opportunity to win this game. Currently sitting God spot. Look what their zone's going to pull as well.
Where do you look? They're doing so much damage that they can't decide where they actually want to focus their fire. There was nades hitting left, right, and center. Everyone up to purple now on 100 Thieves, and I'm pretty sure with the damage that's been done as well here, John, they've got to be closing in on those red Evo shields too.
That's right. 100 Thieves enters Apex Legends. We know courage and the 100 Thieves crew has been massive on Apex, and it's great to see them re-entering the scene. And now this 100 Thieves squad, the champions of ALGS North America in Season 1, find themselves in a perfect opportunity to win this game, represent well, and slowly but surely work their way up the overall leaderboards. They're in 5th place. A first place finish here will surely put them in the top 3.
Wow, these shots from Onmu, they are just harassing everybody who's trying to move in on this position, trying to find anywhere to play. They want to hold off all of the teams from being able to play underneath them. That's where it becomes a problem for 100 Thieves, and that's where they're trying to deny anyone moving up into that space. If the teams get underneath them, John, that means at some point 100 Thieves have to drop, and when they drop, they'll be stunned, and when they're stunned, they'll be vulnerable.
That's right. Sign us, please. Is actually right below them. So we have number 1 versus number 5 stacked like a pancake right now, one above the other. Other teams nearby, 7 squads total remain, and this is this absolute carnage of an end game. Not as easy to hold God spot when you got Valkyrie Qs coming through left, right, and center, but it's only going to just sprinkle them. Not going to do a whole lot of damage, and they're in such a great position. You just got to be careful for a Valkyrie ultimate, and here it comes.
Yeah, there it comes, and I wonder where that team is going to land as well. This is just going to be chip damage. It's not going to be too impactful, but look at the teams who have now made a move. Furia are going to be lighting up Except. Both bubbles do go down, but look at this. There's a Loberol gone down. The black market has supplied Fury with a Kraber, and he could have a massive say on this endgame now.
No way. We know what Fury can do with this Kraber in hands. We saw it during championships just months ago, but the question is he going to have a chance to use it? They're under so much duress, of course, from the hands of 100 Thieves above them. Fury going to get hit by that defensive bombardment. He goes down. 6 squads remain.
100 Thieves just raining down fire, raining down terror on everybody who is trying to move in under them. These teams are just taking damage, but can they turn it into KP? Space Station, one of those teams here, John, who have again made it to endgame. They're inside of the top 5.
That's right. We saw a Sync get taken out from Sign Us, please. They're eliminated as well. It's Space Station, Except, Furia, 100 Thieves, and Rolla Theory. Our squads remaining, and look where this final zone is pulling. It's right below 100 Thieves, exactly where they're at. This could not have been a more perfect game for 100 T.
And now you get that little moment of calm. You imagine that below this tower is a circle, and everybody has a quarter of it to play. 100 Thieves on top. They're kind of like the spacer that you see on the top of a pizza holding the lid up. But for now, they just got to try and force these teams to fight. Force them into each other. Any damage they do is good damage because another team might see it and decide to try and pounce.
That's right. This is the calm before the storm here. Teams are just huddling around these rocks, finding animation that they can creep on into. Meanwhile, 100 Thieves on high ground, sitting pretty, watching everyone below them like the aristocrats they are. Currently, with complete control of this game, Rolla Theory is going to do what they can. Furia, they'll do what they can. It's going to be madness below them, and 100 Thieves just gets to laugh and watch.
100 Thieves have the ability to use the Nox Gas in endgame as well. So when all these teams are forced into each other, they can just throw that Nox Gas down from the core stick and really upset things before having to drop. So you have to say the pieces may be starting to fall in place for them. Exit on the outside, though. I think that Space Station just round this corner. And I tell you what, this is getting a little bit too close for comfort as now SSG and Furia start to engage. Both bubbles down.
That's right. No caustic in the hands of this Furia squad, and that's going to potentially hurt them here. Thank goodness for Gibraltar Domes. Space Station wants to enter the fray. Great crack's going to come through. Dropped, connects for about 50. Popping some of the caustic gas as well, and that's the difference maker here.
Oh, shots coming down from above, though, and look at this. It's 100 Thieves making their move as well. SSG gone, and I'm pretty sure that Furia are gone as well. We're now down to 3, and it's 100 Thieves who are just looking down on everybody and saying, what up, boys? It's time for us to win the game.
And they just get to enjoy the views right here on World's Edge. What a fun one. What a great one. And again, that's what happens if you rotate and get credited for that early rotation. You get the best spot in the game, and obviously it's a lot easier when you have a Valkyrie on your team. So positioning is key, and that's going to pay off for 100 Thieves. Meanwhile, Rolla Theory is just going to try and secure a second place here because this really looks to be 100 Thieves' game unless they can pull something crazy off.
Yeah, that's the problem for 100 Thieves here. Those players who are currently sat down on that low ground, they're going to bubble out, though. This is so big from 100 Thieves. They managed to go down into the low ground. However, they've taken damage from this caustic Nox Gas. That is doing all sorts of damage to 100 Thieves. They're managing to get some knocks, but as I said, the players who are on those legs are going to cause problems. Scurry, though, finds one, tries to secure the kills for himself, and in the end, it will be Exet who hold the low ground and survive to tell the tale of first place.
Well played by Xset. 100 Thieves had to rotate, and you thought it was a game that they were going to secure because it looked like the zone was pulling underneath them, but actually, Eyes must have played a trick on me because the zone pulled a little bit just north of that, so it forced them to drop. They played it well. They dropped themselves a dome shield, but again, that caustic gas in the late game was just killer on set.
Yeah, you take a comparison between game number 1, how I talked about how a microsecond can change an end game, right? And it was SSG who got a bubble down just in time. On the opposite side of that, we've just seen what happens if the bubble is ever so slightly late. If it's a little bit earlier there for 100 Thieves, that Nox gas doesn't come in. It doesn't cause them as many problems. They get a few extra seconds to reset and re-engage, and that's the difference maker. Xset managed to get that gas inside of the bubble. That was what caused the problems and the damage, and I've got to be honest, they did so well just to hold on there to the end and clean up.
Yeah, good job overall from the Xset crew. And again, they were the last ones to rotate, the late one to the party. And you thought on that rotation, they were under so much pressure from pretty much the entire lobby who was focusing them, somehow survived, healed back up, and ended up winning that one. So they were honestly the dark horse in that map, at least in that game, is you thought they were under so much duress. I think they are also the team that got pushed a little bit by SSG, was able to thwart that off as well. So kudos to Xset, just rinsing off anything that was thrown at them. They were in 4th place, a first place finish, 12-point game for first, and however many kills we'll see in the standings in a second. That's gonna be massive for Xset and 100 Thieves, who was in 5th.
Yeah, both those teams probably needed a few points just to make them feel a little bit more comfortable after some pretty shaky early games from both of those teams. But again, one team we should mention as well, Space Station Gaming, involved in that end game, involved in that top 6, top 5, and picking up KP as well. So valuable. Every time you get placements, you've got to put some kills alongside it if you want to be at the top of those leaderboards. And again, Space Station showing why they're one of the best teams in NA right now.
That's right. Meanwhile, we talked about it, Sentinels and G2. Not the best performance for them. You won't even see them in the top 10 here. But look at this. First place 9-kill game for Xset. The Xset boys standing up and playing incredibly well. Clane, Kenny, and Clarify. Well done from them. 100 Thieves in 2nd. That's a 14-point game for them. But look at Space Station. 4th place, but 9 kills is massive. They will just continue to take that first place spot here. Sinus, please, only got 5.
Yeah, as I say, that's what makes the difference, right? Even though they came a little bit lower in the placings, it was the kills that they picked up in the mid-game moving towards that final circle. It was really impressive again from Space Station, but Xset, they clutched up in that final moment. 100 Thieves, very good from them as well. I think all the teams in that top 5 will be pretty happy with how the end game actually played out. Furia maybe on the back end of that, maybe they got the roughest end of it, but still put some KP on the board and a decent placement for them.
Well, on set today, I learned that Clane stands for Charles Lane. First initial, last name, clever.
Hey, I learned that as well. That's news to everyone, I think.
Indeed. Congrats to Clane, congrats to Kenny and Clarify. First place finish, 5-kill game. That's a massive one for Clane, running that
Kenny's
Valkyrie.
name is Kenny as well, John. Look at this. These are genius gamer tags.
This is no creativity necessarily needed here. Let's just opt for the first name or the last name or the combination of both.
Yeah, if Clarify's first name was Clara, then I'd be like, okay, this is just like ridiculous at this point. But, you know, maybe he's the difference maker.
Yeah, we got to reserve Clara for Clara at work. Shout out to Clara if she's watching right now.
That's true.
Big shout out right there to Xset. Next game from them. And overall standings, well, it's going to be a two-way tie between Space Station and Xset. Meanwhile, Sinus Please in 3rd right after. 100 Thieves in 4th. It's going to come down to these last 2 games on set, and honestly, it's anyone's game here. Look how even these standings are.
Yeah, I think you can, any one big game from anyone inside that top 10, you can take it all the way down maybe to 11th, 12th, and you are really throwing yourselves up those leaderboards. You're hitting the trampoline, and you're bouncing all the way up the jump, all the way up the jump. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you get a long way up the ladder, essentially. And Space Station currently at the top of it. It's going to be a very interesting final 2 games here. When we say all to play for, sometimes it's a little bit cliche, but it's the perfect phrase to use here.
Yeah, that's right. Xset right there. Drops Harvester, obviously very central to the entire map in World's Edge, which means no matter where these zones go, they're going to have a fairly solid rotation. That's the benefit of dropping center map, much like we've seen teams like TSM do, whether it's on Kings Canyon way back when, or when they dropped Cage, or of course when they dropped Fragment for a long time in World's Edge. Center map helps significantly, so that's probably been faring well for Xset, but games 5 and 6 are going to be absolutely insane on set. It's hard to predict who's going to win this one.
I have no idea, and the only way to predict it is to tell you what happens after it has happened. So we're going to send it to a break now. When we get back, we will get that game 5 right in front of your eyes, so stick with us. Game 5 is about to be live as we're back here in the Apex Legends Global Series North American Pro League, and what a first 4 games it has been. On set here with Dan Gaskin back alongside me, looking as handsome as ever, and that beard is looking as magical as all of the Harry Potter books combined into one, Dan. Looks glorious. Lovely.
That is really magical, by the way. If it can't get much more magical than that. So, A, thank you. B, back to Apex. Also pretty magical because, as you can tell, I don't like taking compliments, by the way. That was an impressive game. I was, surprised at first to see the team that didn't win from the high ground, but that happens sometimes. It looks like they're in the god spot, but when the circle slightly pulls away from you and you have to be the last to enter the low ground, if that bubble doesn't come off, as we saw, it really can punish you, and the team who is ratting out as a 2 just makes it such a nuisance. It could have been a different story if it was a straight 3v3 between 2 teams. Alas, it was not.
Except managing to hold on and close things out. And as I say, and as I pointed out, it's those fractions of a second that can make the difference with those decisions, with the bubble, with the gas, whatever it might be in those end games that ends up putting you on top. But for now, it's Exet who did win that game, and we only have 2 games remaining now of our North American Pro League week number 2, day number 2. Of course, this is Group C and D, and to be honest with you, Dan, I'm looking across it and things look very tight between the top 10, but I'm still looking at Sentinels, I'm still looking at G2, and I'm still waiting for a performance.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a glimpse of hope from G2 in game number 3, but game 4 just went straight back down the toilet for them, if I'm honest. Sentinels, again, they had a 7th place in game 3, and I was like, all right, well, maybe they'll start to amp it up. Didn't quite manage to come together, but I think Nicewig put it really nicely on Twitter. Nicewig, he does things nicely. He said, look, sometimes in Apex Legends, things don't go your way. Don't get too down on yourselves. It's another thing that I will reiterate here, that players shouldn't get too worried about a poor performance in a certain week or a certain game, because sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. Your rotation might not work out. A team might appear out of nowhere. You might get third-partied. It might be something out of your control. You've played it perfectly, but another team just shows up out of nowhere to ruin your day. That's Apex. That's Battle Royales. You've just got to be able to suck it up, move on to the next game, and go again.
Very inspirational from yourself. A nice week. I would say after 2 weeks, you should start to be slightly concerned that things aren't going your way. Okay, I'm that kind of guy. Yeah, okay, I'm that guy. I'm the bad guy here, all right? I'll play bad cop while you play good cop, because for G2, it's been 2 weeks now, and we're still yet to see that performance we expect from them. But like I say, and like you say, sometimes things don't go your way, and it's just 1 game away. Maybe game 5 is going to be that performance from them. Space Station, though, Dan, talk to me about their consistency, because it's been so fun to watch these guys today.
Yeah, Space Station are a team that have just really shown that it doesn't matter what zone it is, they will find a way to get to the end game, right? Even though there has been kind of the odd game here or there where they've kind of dropped into like 10th or 12th. For the most part, they get to those last circles. And sometimes a last circle or close to the last circle still finds you in top 12, top 13, depending on it.
Yeah.
But their consistency has been incredible. Also, by the way, Sentinels are in a little bit of a scuffle. And also, again, Esports Arena have got the entirety of Big Mord and Lava City. It doesn't look like they're going to get the entire of Dome, but for one game, teams decided they didn't want to allow Esports Arena to have this entire southeast area, but it seems like now they're going back to just giving them Big Mord and Lava City for free.
And a beacon, which is always great news if you're landing and you get that beacon to give you that early zone information. It's something that teams, sometimes you don't get it. We've seen teams landed at Frag East, and the first thing that comes out of their mouth in the comms is no beacon, which is just followed by a kind of 3-4 seconds of the sound of sadness. And then everything kind of returns to normal again. But we did get to see the first zone. Now we're going to see that second zone. Geyser, Big Mord, and a little edge of Lava Siphon involved. But it's looking like that Hill House might be prime position here, Dan.
Yeah, we've already seen a Hill House finish today, and it was a game that was predicted early by one of the teams, and certainly if you can take that Hill House position, you will find yourself in a comfortable spot for the majority of the game, at least until the final circle or 2, unless a Valkyrie team decides they want to try and drop on you. Space Station, after speaking about all their consistency, they did just lose 1 player, but managed to get him back up. I say lose him, he was just knocked down on the floor, but they can reassess what they want to do with this one, because it's Furia on the other side of things, and it is a fight that is unfolding in the very early stages of this game.
And looking at the armors across the board as well, Furia, I think, have a HP advantage here, so if they can close the ground, they might be able to actually do a fair amount of damage. But our winners of game number 4, things aren't looking quite as healthy for them here, as Kenny is going to be finished off, and it's Sentinels who are trying to be aggressive here to finish off the final 2.
Yeah, Sentinels have kind of pinned Xset here, and Oxygen on the other side as well. So I think Sentinels will probably not push this one. Instead, they're just going to try and lay down some suppressing fire to Xset and use this as an opportunity to rotate round and get ahead of these teams early. Because as we know, it is very important to try and rotate in the early stages if you are in a kind of sticky situation in no man's land. And Xset, well, they're definitely in a sticky situation. They're down to 2. They do have the banner, however, and now they're looking to see if they can get to a beacon.
Yeah, we talk about how good Valkyrie is for getting in zone. It's also very good for getting out of zone with a banner and finding yourself a respawn beacon to play from. So that's another thing that Valkyrie brings to the party. However, there was a team up on that respawn building, so you can see a couple of shots being taken by Clarify. Klein also spotted that player out, and Kenny's going to have to wait a few more moments before getting back into the action here.
Got to be careful. If you just maybe take too much of a risk and you do go for a beacon that's in an open area that isn't going to be necessarily having too much cover, then you can be pushed by another team. And you, even though, yes, you want to get your third player back up, you don't want to put them back up at the risk of losing the entire team. So you really have to strategize and decide where and when you're going to be bringing that third player back up. Sheesh are in a position where they can just hold here for now. They can watch on, they can do some damage, and they probably want to get these Evo shields leveled up quick.
They certainly do. One team that has been eliminated, though, is Senior Service. Saw those on the team tracker. They've been eliminated, so they will have to wait until game 6 before they can get back into the action here on World's Edge, as we jump on board with a little bit of an overhead cam here just to see some of these teams rotating from the fragment side, from the north side of World's Edge here. Complexity, that team we're going to be focusing on, as they're trying to focus on a team who's taking to the skies as Monsoon locks on and does a heck of a lot of damage to a team moving incredibly fast.
Yeah, a lot of damage. A few teams kind of.
I can't aim that well, Dan, when someone's standing still in front of me on mouse and key. I'm just saying. That's why I play controller.
That is why you play controller. But hey, you know what? Controller players, they have their place too. Don't you worry. You can still be a part of the Apex Legends Global Series. But, I mean, you can't. I'm lying. I'm trying to big you up, but you're not going to. You're staying here. You're commentating with me forever.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that one. Well, they're going to get a care package here, Dan, which is good news for Complexity, and they're going to find a Spitfire as well. So Monsoon's going to have even more ammo, and something to also take into note as well is you don't have that ammo in the inventory either, so he's going to be able to move up, and he's going to be able to get some extra meds in that bag.
Let's go this way.
Yeah, just Complexity slowly making their way downtown. I almost started a song then, but I'm not going to carry on with it. They need to be careful with their rotation. Yes, they can do this. This is what I was going to say. They have the opportunity now to Valk up in the sky, get more of an overhead idea as to where they want to be positioning themselves, where other teams are. Just use that passive of Valkyrie to gain any information and try and take what they think is one of the priority spots.
Well, it looks like they're going to try and land on this high ground, maybe the bridge. They're going to play underneath the bridge by the looks of things as Monsoon makes his way down. A little bit of a swing away, a couple of areas to play, and this is a pretty solid one. Pretty difficult to hold. However, you get a lot of angles on teams who are trying to make their way towards Lava Siphon and maybe making their way across that low ground from just the other side of Geyser. Here's Furia again, though, Dan, and this has been something I've been fascinated by today. They are more than willing to take zone damage and make these late, with redefining late rotations. It's almost turning up to a party the day after it was scheduled in the calendar with how they rotate their way towards zone. But they use these crafting, they use the ability to get all those meds so they can take their time, and they kind of let the lobby play out before they make their moves.
Well, it makes sense. If you are kind of a team who really knows the rotations, you know where teams are going to be going and what are the kind of priority positions in general and where teams are going to hold and where they gatekeep, it's almost safer to just Valk in the red into more red and then move in right from the edge, rather than Valking from the edge into the center, which often leaves you very vulnerable, often leaves you very kind of targeted by teams. Instead, Fury are just going under the assumption of, look, if we keep out of kind of vision, then no one's going to be able to shoot us out of the sky. No one's going to be able to hear us land, because it also just allows you to have that extra little bit of protection.
Well, here's SXG, and they have been One of the most dominant 3v3 teams we've seen so far today. Can't remember too many times they've lost a straight up 3v3. They got an initial knock in this fight as well, but here comes Sheesh as well as they come from Geyser up into that choke to try and hold them out. Golden's taken down very, very low. She's going to have to retreat though. As you can see, there's a couple of death boxes in front of them. Sync's going to pick up the first one onto Golden as well. So kills being exchanged here. 54 players alive as Sync's actually going to finish off that down and turn that into a confirmed KP. As Niceweek just takes his time to move back up to his teammates now. Sentinels just holding that ground in the background.
Yeah, Sentinels who are in 16th place right now, by the way. After seeing their dominance in week 1, yeah, you'll be surprised to hear that because we thought Sentinels were going to carry that on into week 2, but it really hasn't been their game or their week or even their year. It just keeps happening. I can't keep going into songs today.
I just want to say, by the way, you predicted Sentinels, right?
I did, yeah.
So you thought that they were going to keep this this momentum going. So I just want to correct you there because, as you all know, my prediction was Space Station to do well today, and they're doing all right. But XSET, another team coming off the back of a win, are also doing pretty well right now. However, they are on the very quick side of zones. So they're going to have to make a tough rotation in around 1 minute and 40's time. But they've got a lot of time to work with here.
Yeah, a lot of time. It's really just one of those rotations where they can wait, they can craft, they can ensure that they get all of the good stuff before they move in, and they've got the option to Valkyrie if things go south pretty quickly. Looking at where XSET currently are in points, they are on 28, or a little bit more actually. They're up in the top 4, so they've done really well to ensure that they can just at least be there or thereabouts with the discussion now of who's going to be able to win this one, right? XSET have an amazing opportunity to be up there, and I think that would put them in a great stead going into the following weeks, because it's all about applying pressure and asserting your dominance at certain times, because now going into the rest of the weeks, you want to be a team who, A, holds their drop spot, so other teams say, look, we'll give the drop spot away to that team because we are scared of fighting them, and you want to be a team that teams don't really want to be rotating through too, so it's about really just showing your power when you can.
Well, XSET are making their rotation now. Let's jump into the comms straight away, see what their next move's going to be.
Easy.
G2 could be out here. Actually, I think they switched to Valk and they're rotating.
This is a positional lobby. You did say at the beginning of the game they probably just aren't finding people on edge.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people in zone for sure. Up here. No, turn around. Go to Kenny right now. They're going to hit the beacon. They're hitting the beacon. They just slid off of the train yard hill.
Okay, I'm going to craft this light mat because I need it, and we got to go into macaroni.
We should just get into the no-name. Literally anywhere in the no-name. SSG's dying.
Yeah. That's
wait, if they trade, that's in Lava Siphon.
Guys, can I craft this mag?
I guess.
Maybe.
You need to be careful, though. This team was literally right in Harv when we were walking up.
Just group up. Wait, I'm stupid. It's 35. I have 30. Fuck me. Let's just go into choke. Thought it was 25. Fuck.
Jay, I need the purple.
Okay.
There's a team right here that he's looking at us. We need a Valkyrie in somewhere. Where do we go, though?
This building, too. This is bad, too.
We gonna go in the RV, okay? I think we land in this RV for now. You guys agree or no?
That's fucking death because the team in big
Okay,
building.
we need to know where to go, like, right now.
Like, I don't know, just Valko and go, and we'll find something.
Alright. I can't ult here.
There's gonna be, like, something has to be open, like one of those buildings or something.
There's 17 teams alive.
Doors open here.
Yeah, we're gonna land in there, okay? Get ready to fight.
Team on this one. There's a team on this one.
Get ready to fight.
I'm backside, though.
Yep.
Bob, if you need.
I'm bubbling just so we don't take damage. Team in the other one. Barrels in here. No.
I'm getting broken. I need to pop a bat. This is really bad.
Pop a bat too.
I'm batting as well. They're arcing. I can't. I'm Gibby ulting.
Yep. I'm popping another bat.
Is that
yours? Is that yours?
It's me.
Just get in the back on me. Get in the back on me. Chill. We're fine.
They can't push that. Those are my barrels.
Yep. The team in the like actual zone.
Look at zone.
That's huge. Oh my god, it ends on their building, I think.
No, it's gonna pull like over here.
That's fine. We're in a really good spot. We just need to hold. That's literally all we need to do. I only have 1 bat, 10 cells now.
1 bat, 8 cells.
1-9.
Alright, we're good. We just need to play in the back. We cannot walk up to the front. You do need to try to get barrels down, though.
I will. Wait for them to recharge.
Do you have gold helm? No, I don't.
I gotta say, Dan, sometimes luck is on your side, and that's a little bit like going to the roulette table and your number coming up because they've hulked into the skies, and you heard from the comms, they didn't know where they wanted to land. They didn't really have a plan A or a plan B, but they picked somewhere, there was no one in that building, and now they're set up for success.
That's the scary thing about Valkyrie, though, isn't it? If there was a team in there, that could have been the game ruined for both of them. If they had just gone for that random 50-50, they said, look, let's get ready to fight. They didn't know where they were going, as you said. There was a decision to be made where they were like, well, do we just go into the RV? No, that's death. Okay, let's just see where we land. It's such a scary way to approach a game, but on this occasion, it's worked out for them. As Zone 3 closing in 43 seconds. Space Station, Mark, the team you said you predicted well and have been playing well. Yeah, they have, but down to just one at the moment.
And it was G2 who were delivering the damage as well in that fight. G2 now inside of Lava Siphon. You can see them in the bottom of your screen there, playing on that low ground. A couple of shots being exchanged, although I think there might have been a few friendly shots, just keeping those thumbs warm for the G2 boys. As now you're going to see that zone pull, and it's pulling towards those two buildings. One of them is the one that Exet landed on, so they're going to be feeling all smiles right now.
Yeah, Exet even kind of pointed out which one they think it's going to be finishing on, even though it's not the building that they're currently in, but the building next to them is where they think the final circle is going to be, and it seems like they've got it pretty spot on for now, whereas G2 are making their way around, and they're moving away from the circle a little bit here, just to try and reassess how they're going to approach getting into it, and it looks like they want to get onto that edge rather than play central zone.
Well, Neanderthals at the moment are doing what they can, because you can see Strictly, unfortunately, looks like he might be trying to reconnect. And for now, it's going to be a case of maybe trying to get him somewhere near zone, maybe push him into a portal and then get him safe for now, which might be the play that they're able to make. As you see Exiles going down onto this low ground with the portal. Will it reach just about inside of the zone? Should be able to punch the Gibby in if he can get back into the game. But for now, it's looking like a pretty tough position, and an unfortunate one at the same time.
Yeah, you're going to have to give up on the Gibby at this point because you're going to be fighting someone else. But as we say that, Tor have just gone down. RKN, the last remaining player, has fallen, and they go out in, what, 18th place. So that really hasn't been the best of games for them. Sheesh now pushing in to try and clean up some KP here.
Word.
Good shots coming out from Timmy, but also receiving a lot of damage.
Yeah, taking some damage, and there's going to be a charge rifle overlooking all of this as well. Arcstar's going down the low ground, always treacherous. It doesn't matter what position it's in. If there is a team above you, usually it's going to do some damage. Hill gets finished off by Phony. Sentinels also in the kill feed as well, as Lou and Senox pick up 2. And now Senox is going to finish things off here with that flatline in his hands. KP here for Sentinels, and 4 of them in the hands of Senox.
This looks more like the Sentinels we saw in week 1. So they've already got at least 6 KP here as we're down to 13 squads. 1 placement point, of course, for being in top 15. But you'd imagine with where they're currently in residence, they should be able to get into this next circle somewhat comfortably, unless they're really heavily focused by teams who are in the surrounding area, which is entirely possible. We have seen some teams really focus those who are in buildings that are quite easy to kind of watch the doors and whatnot, throw arc stars and things towards. But the real story is going to be those teams who are currently central circle. You heard it in one of our listenings earlier as well. This is quite a zone-heavy lobby, and what they mean by that is teams are rotating early, they are taking position early, we're not getting as many edge teams, and maybe that's one of the reasons why we've not seen Sentinels find much success. They haven't been able to kind of loot other teams by being able to kill them on the edge, so instead they've had to adjust by pushing themselves a little bit more central to actually find teams to fight and get the rewards from it.
Well, SSG are still alive. For now, 13 squads remaining, as 100 Thieves are currently in a fight with CLG, and that's inside of the main building, inside a Lava Siphon. So that fight is going to be instrumental to who can control the space and who can maybe make a good exit, as Sentinels now try to make their approach. And this is one that might bring back fond memories of last week's game 1. However, the fond memories might be distant memories, as all of a sudden Lou gets surprised. He gets taken out by a member of Furia, and now it's going to be all over for Sentinels as Furia wipe the floor with them.
Furia and Surprise. That's something we've heard before today, because it seems like they do catch teams off guard when they're rotating through the red and they arrive in a position where teams just aren't expecting them. I didn't even see where Furia came from there, so Sentinels most certainly did not. Sentinels down in 13th spot despite the KP they were able to pick up. G2 still alive, circle is closing, and these teams are going to start to dwindle away.
100 Thieves have lost one as well, and there might be a real good opportunity here for a third party for G2. Just need to wait for that right time. 100 Thieves also involved in this fight, and somehow they managed to win it as well, but only momentarily. That was the last member alive for Torrent. That was Juris who finally goes down, and now Vayne sits here, looks to the heavens, and says a prayer that he could survive a little bit longer.
CLG went down in 11th as well, and Complexity at a full 3. It can't be said for some of the other teams that are still alive. They've lost a few players. 100 Thieves, 2 of them to be precise. If you lose a few, you're probably dead, but 2 is okay. Exet, still in this building that they dived in on from the Valkyrie ult, are going to have to move in 50 seconds, and it looks like they want to make their move a little bit sooner than that because they maybe have recognized some vulnerable teams.
Oh, this is a straight bubble fight between the 2 teams. The gas will go down as well, and oh my word, Exet just swiping the team away, swatting them like flies. That was such a simple fight for them to win, as G2 now look to move in to pick up the pieces. The problem is there was none left over. It was that clean.
Complexity just hiding away, trying to survive, knowing there's plenty of teams around them. G2 are in a fantastic spot at the moment, but they'll be well aware that they could be very easily pushed from several different directions. So you need to be focusing all these angles. Everyone needs to have eyes on. Communication needs to be on point at this time to ensure that everything is being watched. They've just got the scan on the team below them. That's massive, so now that's not going to be a surprise. G2 know full well they could be pushed from that side as well.
Well, GT might be thinking about pushing themselves. You can see the ultimate accelerant's going to be popped by Designful here. That means his ulti will be ready, and he'll be able to jump into the Bloodhound ult and really cause some problems. Astro Esports, the team inside of the building, you can see that Gentrifying on top of that building is maybe looking to hold down that one escape that they do have through the door. So G2 in position here to pick up some KP as that zone starts to close. But I think that Astro Esports will actually be safe just about on the inside of that building.
They might be, but they also could be very vulnerable to grenades, so they've got to be careful. They've got to make sure they've got bubbles and whatnot to protect them, and maybe some utility to throw back.
Oh my word.
Exit, though, have just been able to beam from one side, and maybe G2, that caught them by surprise.
Yeah, that's the end of SSG as well. Frex managed to get into the top 10 as that solo player. Exit now make their move across as well. Bubble's going to be exchanged between the 2 teams. Exit play in the back of the bubble to make sure that they have as many lines of defensive cover as they could possibly put up, getting those barrels down as well to deny those lines of sight, and they survive for now. But you can see now the shots coming into the back from G2.
Yeah, this is a horrible position for Exet, and you can see they're being melted now by all the teams as they realize they only had a wall to be covering them. 2 of them have fallen, only 1 remains for Exet, and I think that's going to be the last player eliminated very shortly. Reptar's just gone down as well, so players falling everywhere.
Designful manages to pick up 1 though. G2 stay alive. Gentrifying, jumping into the void to stay alive in that situation is massive for them, and this is the game that G2 need to capitalize on. They have high ground. They're overlooking a lot of these fights, and it's not just about position for them at the moment. It's not about where they finish. It's they have to pick up KP along the way.
Scissors and Phony have both fallen. Furia were able to push in, be aggressive, and get those 2 knocks. We'll want to ensure they get the KP there, and they're going to do so with a couple of grenades. But now Complexity want a little bit of the action here. They want to get involved, but it's not going to work out. Reptar, the last remaining player.
Tech with the L-Star in his hands gets the job done for Furia once again, who are having a standout game number 5 here. Complexity eliminated. Tech and 1 other still alive here. Hakulo is the last to play alongside him as G2 still hold down this high ground and still look to pick off any of these players who are trying to rotate in late from Lava Siphon.
Furia into the top 5. Fury goes down to Furia. G2 also go down to just 2. And now they have to try and do what they can in a 2 versus 3. This is when you need to clutch up.
Oh, they do manage to pick up 1. They managed to pick up 2. The problem is G2 now Designful fell, so they can't finish off that fight. Even though it would have been a 1v1 on the high ground, G2 now in a difficult position. As Hakulo and Tech now, the last 2 alive, still for Furia, just kind of trying to find what they can at the moment. The Knucklecluster's going to go down. They seem to have their backs clear, and they might have an opportunity to rack up some KP here.
Yeah, that's going to be G2 falling, and now Furia in a 2. Are in a 2 versus 1, I think. They just need to play this correctly. No, it's a 2 versus more, because there's someone on the high ground. Actually, it's a 4-3. Esports Arena find themselves in these positions so often.
Tech goes down. It's now 3v1. Hakulo, good luck, my friend. Esports Arena will be the champions of Game 5. Coming in late. And even though I joked about the last game and how they got caught off guard by Sentinels, they're the ones who have the last laugh.
And they were just quietly going about their business as well. You saw them occasionally popping up in the kill feed, but we didn't really get to see much of their POV. Shout out for G2 for actually finishing top 3 there and picking up some KP. That could have really gone southward very fast with Estral on their backside, but they were able to get some good knocks. Yes, okay, one player falling, but by that player falling, it meant that they just were able to elongate the process of their survival to ensure they got that KP and they got extra placement points. But ultimately, it's Esports Arena who are laughing, not just because they're looting 2 POIs for free, but also because they're getting Ws, 24 points with 12 kills.
Yeah, big game from Esports Arena, and that's more what I was expecting from them. I felt like I may have cursed them in that previous game, but hopefully that kind of put things right and puts me back in the good books for those 3 players. Furia in second as well, but G2, for me, that's the most important performance of the day. Because without those points on the board, G2 really would be struggling, but 14 is going to throw them up that leaderboard.
And Estral Esports, yep, okay, they're finishing top 4, but just no kills on the board. They're doing really well to get placements. They're doing really well to get central zone, and they're reading the circles, but just not being able to find the KP is not going to help them too much in terms of leaderboards. Like, yeah, okay, you'll be consistent and you'll be somewhere around the mid-table, maybe towards the top 5 if you get top 3, top 4 every single time, but it's not going to be enough to win a week. So they need to find a way of converting those placements into kills as well. But it's all about Esports Arena. They really were doing some damage. An amazing game from them.
Yeah, 7 kills there for Verholst as well. Very impressive from the Valkyrie player, and kind of what we would expect from a player like him as well. He's another one to keep an eye on as the weeks do roll on here in the ALGS NA Pro League. Certainly a team and a player to watch, but I'm very interested in the overall standings here, because that's the kind of game that really does shake things up here.
Yeah, that could propel G2 up the leaderboard quite considerably, but also it's about those kind of first and second positions. We need to be looking at who are potential winners from Group C and D to get themselves those 12 points that everyone's searching for to put them in a better position when it comes to the overall standings, not just C and D, but all 4 groups combined, because that's when it starts to get real messy. That's when the teams start to scrap for points.
Well, Persia is going to come back and join us now as 5 games are done and dusted, and it gives me at least 3 seconds to catch my breath, because the games have been, to quote Keanu Reeves, breathtaking.
The games have been mind-blowing. That last ring, the elevation differences, you always think you have an idea of which team is going to come out on top. The high ground is always preferred, and Complexity showed that. But I think that a lot of the fights that went down at the end of that match, we had, G2 accidentally falling down, couldn't help the teammates, and things like that can make all the difference in the final fight. So let's take a look at the overall. Let's take a look at some highlights, actually, before we get to leaderboards, because we got to recap some of that action on set. What are you feeling over these last 2 games, and what are you expecting in game number 6?
Well, this was game 4, and this was Sentinels who got taken down there by Senior Service. This was Space Station doing some really good work on the edge of zone. We heard them, or we saw them, I should say, in that game, hold off the push that came in from Sheesh as well with amazing defensive stand. This was SXG doing what SXG have done most of today, which is running at people and winning the fights, although it was a little bit more scrappy than what we saw previously. But it was interesting this game, because at one point G2 were in control of that drill tower. They knew where the game was going to be finishing, but they weren't able to hold in the same way that 100 Thieves were a little bit later on. Even though 100 Thieves didn't win the game and it was Exet, 100 Thieves put up a huge amount of points.
And then here in game 5, this is where we started to see teams just really scrap for position in a final circle that left a lot of teams vulnerable in the open area, really struggling to get any sort of solid kind of base to settle down in. So they were having to take fights, they were having just to try and get 1 or 2 KP here and accept that maybe it wasn't going to be a win. And it was right from zone 4 here where teams really just were caught in just between a rock and a hard place at times. No one really able to be in a position of kind of a comfortable spot where you can look at it and say, hey, we can get top 3 here. I don't even think the teams who finish in top 3 expected to finish in top 3, except maybe Esports Arena, because they had a game that was just a little bit different than everyone else.
Exactly, and I did misspeak a little bit earlier. All the props to Esports Arena, of course, for that last game. And I want to check out the leaderboards now, because we saw massive amounts of kills coming out from teams that weren't necessarily placing that high. And I want to see how it's changed things up. And we've got Exet in first place. How are we feeling about that one on set?
I mean, XSET have looked really, really good today. I think it's been one of the best days that they've had in some time in the ALGS, to be honest with you. But I look down at the other side of things, and G2 and Sentinels, even though maybe they haven't had the pop-off games, G2, with that performance in the last one, picking up 3rd place in the KP, has put them within striking distance now of that top 5. If they have one of those big 20-point games, G2 could be really flying up the leaderboards. And the same could be said about Sentinels. Both teams have that ability to do that, and it wouldn't surprise me if in Game 6 we're talking about G2 and Sentinels come the end.
And Gaskin, what do you think are the biggest changes that maybe the Sentinels are running into this time around? Because they were pretty dominant last week. It's looking a little more shaky this week. Why do you think that is?
So it was something that I think I touched upon during the cast of that game, and it was something that we learned from the communication, well, or at least we got clarification from the communication. This is a lobby who are really focusing playing zone early. We're not seeing as many teams playing edge as what we saw in week 1 when we watched B versus C, which is where Sentinels thrived. They were killing all the teams that were playing on edge. They were just running through. They weren't getting thirded as much because they were able to pick their fights because there was more teams to go for. Whereas now when there's noise on edge, because there's so few teams, playing edge, when they hear that noise, they're going and thirding it. And Sentinels just haven't been able to find that right rhythm. Yes, okay, they've picked it up here or there, but it hasn't been the same. There's been too many teams central circle, and they've not been able to find the same rewards by getting those kills.
And speaking of rewards, if you want to enter Lenovo Legion's ALGS Pro League giveaway for a chance to win a free Lenovo Legion gaming PC, all you gotta do is visit twitter.com/Lenovo Legion to figure out how to join that. And you definitely gonna want to give it a shot, because why not? Free stuff is the best stuff, and I think a lot of our teams can agree when it comes to free kills. They want some of that too, because we've been seeing a lot of third parties and a lot of people taking fights, and I expect nothing less as we go into game number 6, which is coming up right after this break.
Got 40 on Buck right here!
Fuse almost cracked, 90 on Fuse. Swinging right.
They're on top of it.
I got Bell, caught this one. I got Bell.
He's so weak.
is here, and at this point in the standings, it is anyone's game. We have at least 6 or 7 teams who could potentially take the tournament today, at least the day of Pro League, the first place spot. As I'm Fallout joined alongside Gaskin, certainly excited for this one, Dan.
Yeah, this is going to be a really tough game for some of those teams who are down low because it's so close at the top, which means you're going to see teams playing pretty safe when it comes to the top 5, which means there isn't going to be as much opportunity for teams at the bottom to kind of run rampant, which could be bad news for the likes of Sentinels, who need a big game, the likes of G2, who need a big game as well. XZ currently hold first place, but that could very easily slip away. Yes, okay, they have like, what, a 10-kill gap, I think, around it was. That can just so easily be taken over by a team if they have a big game here in Game 6.
Yeah, that's right. We have XZ in first place with 57 points, Space Station in second with 51 points, Sinus Please with 48 in third. So neck and neck, only 9 points separate 1 through 3. And even behind that, we got Esports Arena and 100 Thieves vying for that first place spot. So anyone's game. But to your point, G2, they actually opted for a slightly different team comp last game. They went with Bloodhound. They played ultra aggressive. It's going to be a lot harder for them to find some kills in this one.
Yeah, I think that you can be ultra aggressive and you can look for kills when you're in Game 5 and you haven't really been able to find so much success. Here in Game 6, there's 2 ways it can go. We can see teams all looking for kills, or at least those in the lower half looking for more kills to try and have that big pop-off game, right? So you might have more teams playing edge and less teams playing that early rotation. But the teams in the top 5, you'd imagine they're going to go for those early rotations if it's available. They'll try and play central zone. They're not going to be picking up as many kills, which then also means there are more kills to be shared elsewhere. So it can go one of 2 ways, as I say, and it's going to be a difficult game for everyone involved. Even if you're at the top or at the bottom, it's not going to be an easy one.
That's right. It's not going to be easy for the players, but it'll be fun to watch for us. It's going to be that highly entertaining game number 6. I love when game 6s end up in these scenarios because it just means every decision, every opportunity is so incredibly important to take. And these players are obviously going to be playing the best Apex of their careers, doing everything they can to secure that first place spot, right? 12 points awarded to first, 10 points for second, and that's for overall Pro League standings for the entirety of our Pro League. That's going to run for 12 weeks in this double round robin format. So if you're just tuning in and for the first time to the ALGS Pro League, it has been quite the feature and format. Kudos again to EA's John Nelson, commissioner of the ALGS, and the entire competitive Apex team. And a big shout out to every single one of them as well. Tabris, Shaheen, Ghostiami, Nixie on the socials, every single one of y'all that put your hearts and soul into helping competitive Apex grow. We appreciate you, everyone in production as well. Simona, Demi, thank y'all so much for all the hard work. But guess what? Game 6 is here. It's all about the players and the teams coming into game number 6. And we have Space Station Gaming, XZ, 100 Thieves, so many teams that have the potential to win this one, Dan.
Yeah, there are just so many teams now in a position where if they have that game, right? If they have that game they've all been searching for throughout today, they could be the winners of Group C versus D in this week number 2 and try and secure themselves those 12 points that everyone is searching for. But there are teams who are going to be a little bit more desperate for points, and they certainly could ruin things, especially in a Valkyrie meta where you can drop on teams when things get a little bit kind of scary and hectic on the edge of the zone. You just say, look, let's dive in and let's hope for the best. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you can ruin someone else's game by doing so.
That's right. We're going to kick things off with 100 Thieves to start. Obviously, we're going to see a slow start here, most likely, as Dan said. A lot of teams trying to early rotate. Looks like we'll be getting a zone that's going to pull very far north. We'll see exactly where that zone is, and we have a chance to check out the map here in a moment. So it could be a difficult zone for teams that drop south side. And actually, no, it won't be super far north, so it won't be too bad for teams like 100 Thieves dropping on the southeast.
Yeah, just trying to get an idea from where that line's going. There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
We can get the overview, and it's going to be just hovering over Fragment East at the moment. So there's going to be a lot of buildings to play. We're going to see a lot of early movers, you would imagine, with the Valkyries just taking buildings, trying to guess which side of Fragment they think it's going to go. East would be the safer bet, but we have seen some pretty crazy pulls, so you never really know where it might end up. But I imagine with where the beacons currently are, we're going to see a lot of teams gaining that information early, moving in, taking a building, and then it's just playing the patient game, having the poke damage wars from one building to another, maybe even just emoting, dancing to one another, waiting for all the teams who have rotated late, and then all combining together to get that damage and pick up those extra points over on your Evo shield.
Wow. Oxygen Esports and Senior Citizens do drop fragments, so they won't have to run very far on their rotation. We do have Sinus Please, who's been performing very well currently in the top 3. They're going to be dropping over towards Trials and Skyhook next to Torrents, and Complexity right on the other side of that mountain, dropping Survey Camp. So We'll see if these teams cross on their paths as they rotate. Meanwhile, here's the leaderboard. Exet, Space Station, Sign Us Please, ESA, and 100 Thieves in the top 5 with Furia right there underneath. SXG, a team that's dropping Climatizer to the east of Complexity, has been performing very well, but kind of slowed down a little bit these last couple games.
Yeah, it's just not been a lobby that anyone's really been able to get their grips on. Like, we've not seen that dominating performance that we witnessed from the likes of C9 this week or the likes of Sentinels last week, where you're seeing 90+ points on the board. Instead, it's all being shared about pretty evenly between the top 5 teams. But now it's about taking your initiative and really grabbing this game, because otherwise, if you let it slip and if you let someone else pop off, you might find yourself slipping down that leaderboard. And we know it is a considerable drop off and difference from finishing first or second or suddenly finishing 6th or 7th, for example. So you need to make sure you stay on the ball here and you can't let anything slip.
That's right. See Space Station here. Making the rotation all the way from Lava to Fragment. That's, of course, Lava Fissure where they drop. So that's a quick rotation for them. Dan, you talked about the importance of rotating early. You see it happening here from Space Station.
Yeah, as expected, they're just moving their way in. Fragment, buildings, take it, get the caustic barrels down, ensure that you just find the best building possible, to be honest. Like, you can scout around, find one, and then look across, and you almost just play it step by step, building by building, move your way across through Fragment until you're in one that you think is going to give you the best chance of winning a game. It sounds simple, usually not so simple, because every building quite often has players in it, and then you have to take the fight.
Yeah, it'll be for yet another reason. Obviously, everything you kind of mentioned, the stakes that are so high in this game. It'll be also a slow game because we do have a fragment finish. And to your point about trying to find the best building to rotate into position, and a lot of teams will be just kind of posting up within these buildings over towards fragment, finding their locations early rotating and chilling. Meanwhile, look at this. Proco, aka No Cocoa Puffs, finds a knock on Klain and Xset. A team in top 3 finds himself under duress.
Team in first at the moment. They really need to survive here because placement is everything for them. When you are in first place and you have been seen on the kill feed, you most certainly are going to be targeted, and Oxygen have done just that. Klain will go down, and now they're just at a 2, and their backs are quite literally against the wall. Just need to try and hold this one out and maybe even hope other teams get involved in this fight so it gives them a little bit of breathing room.
Wow, that's huge. And you know what's interesting there is it actually was No Coco who got the knock, and it was Oxygen who finished. So team effort there to potentially grief Xset. Obviously, you're going to do what you can to take out a player in the lobby, especially in Game 6. Now I wonder how Xset's going to play this gassing. Are they going to go for the revive, which would be super risky to do, and fragment with a fragment finish with so many teams that have rotated already?
Depends if they've been able to get a beacon that they can actually redeploy and put down themselves, but judging by what I've seen in the inventory, I don't think they do have one. So I imagine they just play this building and go for placement. They have a 6-point lead right now. If an opportunity presents itself where they can get out and they can go for a res, maybe they'll go for it. But at the moment, I think they're more likely with a composition like this, with just the 2 left and the caustic being available to them. Certainly for now, they're going to be looking to just hold up and rely on other teams to present an opportunity to go for a res later. But at the moment, I just think they focus on staying alive.
Yeah. We'll see. Keep a close eye on Xset if they do decide to risk it for that revive. Obviously, won't get a mobile respawn beacon, most likely. So decision to make for them, or just down to 2 members alive. That's a big loss. And meanwhile, Sheesh, currently low in the standings overall, but they find themselves outside of the ring and haven't rotated.
It's one of these awkward situations when you're on the outside of it. Now, at this point, at this time, you assume that the most people have been at a point where they've got into those buildings, where they've taken the priority spots, as it were. So you have the awkward decision of, do you risk it and try and take something off of someone? Or do you just play edge at this point, wait for some noise to happen, then you push in, then you try and take a building when you can get a third party? But again, they all come with their separate risks, and it entirely depends where you currently sit in the leaderboard, how many kills you've been able to find so far, whether you can actually achieve a first place, whether you're pushing for a top 10. All these factors change how you're going to play in this game number 6.
Yeah. A lot at stake here, right? Team like Sheesh, way behind in the overall standings, needs to perform, needs to get kills, and obviously for that reason, we'll be playing a lot more aggressive. Currently in 18th place with 9 points, but What's interesting is only about 15 points separate them and, you know, top 10. So they could sneak a couple Pro League points here with a huge pop-off type of game, which is why you're going to see them likely play aggressive. That's their only option here. But, you know, to your point originally, it's going to be tough to play aggressive, tough to find those kills with every other team just vying to survive and kind of posting up early rotating.
Well, Sheesh are rotating in. They are moving on in. Let's see what the listening is like, and let's see what the communication is like from Sheesh.
Oh, they got shot. On the roof, on the roof.
We didn't shoot. Oh.
They know. They saw us already. They saw me already.
Well, no, if it's tech. Oh, wait, yeah, they're not playing it.
They're not fused.
But maybe they went back.
We'll keep it a stack, bro. This circle's actually really good for us.
Right, trap up. Ain't no way, bro.
We got him.
Go this building.
Yeah, I'm done.
Follow me. We're inching closer.
Yeah, I'm done.
Inch by inch.
I'm looking.
Who in here?
See if I can get shots. Wait, where did they go?
I have 5 bats.
Oh, I got
3
three.
bats, guys.
I got
I'll
three.
Drop
Yeah, I think they left.
Oh, no, they're here. No, they're here.
I'm going in.
I saw one, I think.
I mean, it's good to hear laughter. It's good to hear teams enjoying themselves, and you can be assured that that is going to be happening from a team like Sheesh as they do make their way closer to the circle and realize they're probably going to have to take a fight sooner than later, but for now, they're okay.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I'd love to see where G2 is, as they obviously have a tough rotation. Meanwhile, actually, no, I take that back. Esports Arena finds himself in a fight here. Not sure which team is directly above them, but we have the team directly one floor above in a 3v3 fight. Caustic Gas obviously is rampant here.
I mean, this is a fight that could have happened about 10 minutes ago, but it just hasn't because neither team wants to be the first one to push in, because if you are, you put yourself at risk at a third party. You don't know how well equipped the other team is that you're going to be pushing as well, so instead you're reluctant to push and you get in this everlasting stalemate that is just a little bit boring, if I'm completely honest. You wait and we'll go elsewhere. We'll leave you boys to it. You just wait. Unless someone's going to push, I don't care. I want to see it in a little bit. For now, you can sit in your buildings. Let's watch G2 rotate, because that's going to be far more interesting. And maybe we'll get some action, because everyone's playing so scared right now, John. But you can understand, it's Game 6.
Yeah, exactly. Game 6, teams are obviously playing scared. Teams like ESA, who are, you know, sitting pretty well in the standings, but a team that is not playing scared, well, it's G2. They find one. They are flying. Gonna not get a first knock-in, and it's actually gonna be on Sentinel, who just wiped an entire squad, so the third party comes through from G2.
Take this choke.
I've go back.
Nice.
A 3x.
No, they're pretty better armor.
Still give themselves a chance to push in here and be a team to really just have that kind of rescue story. It happens pretty much every day. We have seen one team pretty low and then just be able to rescue things and fight their way back up to a top 5 position.
That's right. Nice job from G2. They find a member of Sentinels. And look at that. Nice Wig actually is going to knock Frex. That's huge. And that's where some teams lower on the standings can completely end the game of a team like SSG, who is vying for a first place spot. Drops goes down as well. We got that in the picture-in-picture here. But what a turn of events here as SSG finds himself having one member alive. What a difference here in Game 6.
Yeah, you can see them in the picture-in-picture there. Just one player alive, SSG on the back foot, trying desperately to escape. And it's the Valkyrie player, but at a slither of health, you imagine this could be the very end for SSG and will ruin their chances of winning this week in Group C versus D. But still, somehow, there is still life there. The medkit goes off. G2, though, they're looking to make a push elsewhere, and they're looking to see if they can get some more KP. They really just want to ensure that they are going to be the team, they're going to be the aggressors in this final game.
Yeah, meanwhile, G2 is going to turn around and find the last member or two of Sentinels. Senox, unfortunately, getting taken out. Was going to go for the revive, the banner grab. Nice shot from G2. They're going to be sitting on top of a perch here, and they know a team's behind them. Let's jump into a quick listen here and get their thoughts.
I'm watching to see if they res.
Watching this front side. This team sitting up there. Team is streamer. I don't think they're gonna be able to. I mean, they could be. That kid could be sitting in the cut. If he's gonna res, yeah, he's gonna do it over here. Do we want to swing this right side design?
Yeah.
I feel like we have hella cover, and like we can keep that, like especially if they res too. I'm out here.
We don't want to hold out there because someone takes our mid, we get gated then.
We could hold
Yes. No, I'm saying like this area right here. I don't want to go all the way up on that hill. I'm just saying right here.
So the team can vault over here and we're fucked.
That's also true.
I think we're better off holding this than over there. I think it pulls to the right side of cap, not the left side.
I think you could pull like around this beacon, huh? Someone's flying. Get to the right.
You have beams on these kids or no?
There's a team. I think that's the solo Gibby.
No, there's a wraith. She's running up the hill.
Yeah, the team just landed there.
There's a crypto team right there.
Are they gonna fight or what?
I think they're shooting at the team that just Velk ulted.
Let them fight.
Alright. Team's still in here.
We don't want them shooting at us.
No.
Fox should have low-key swapped my weapon.
How much ammo do you have?
150 energy.
No, you have enough for this next fight. We'll be able to get kill.
There's res in storm. He res yeah, he res out here. And someone's calling a mobile.
We could go fucking gate them because that team will turn around and go fucking hold that.
It's a crypto team. I'm pretty sure that's the Fury team. The Loba.
Yeah, they're going to get it right now. We can hold them out.
Let's go.
What? Who'd hold who out?
Come.
Well, I don't know. There's a team down here too. You sure? Alright. Oh yeah, no, we're still in over here for sure.
Their crypto split.
Alright.
He's here by himself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break in and die for it.
They gave up their spot in zone.
I'm safe on this.
Down the hill.
On this city.
They're not in there. Keep that idea.
Does it give you an height? Yeah.
I'm safe right here on the city, right here. If you need a spot.
35 on Gib.
You can scout in the back.
Yeah, no, I'm safe right here.
They have to move.
And from cap.
Not that safe. Popping a cell.
Yeah, this spot's not that good.
It is right here, but they can walk up on it.
Down the hill towards
They already went down. Yeah, they already went down. They're sliding down right now.
Alright.
They're gonna go right to that other team.
Where's the team that res? Are they still back there? There's no shot.
They might be in our choke. We need to go back.
Yeah. Alright.
I'm watching.
He's not coming here. You need your scan.
Comes out.
A nice extended listen in there with G2, hearing their thoughts on where they want to play towards this late game. Good to get their perspective on positioning, Gaskin.
Yeah, I mean, XZ bringing players back in, SSG still alive with one player, and now we're also seeing XZ at a full 3. So not only were they bringing Claim back in, but they've got themselves into a position where they are center circle, as they were a little bit earlier, and there's the rat from SSG as well. They need to survive, they need to try and play placement here to try and compete with the likes of XZ, who we know are already in first place. And I'm fairly certain Sentinels are still alive as well. They lost 2, but I think there's 1 rat still remaining. So some of the big teams, or at least kind of the big orgs, still there and still prevalent in this area. But the fact that XZ have got a player back up is nuts. They should not have been able to do that. Esports Arena somehow allowed it. It just happened in front of their very eyes.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Esports Arena really had the full intel that we know Senior Citizens had, and that we know the other team that dropped Fragment had. So as a result, XZ's able to get the revive, but meanwhile, ESA was able to get blessed with a Kraber via supply crate that dropped right next to them, so that'll certainly help out. Crust's gonna get taken out in the top right of your screen, but G2 is continuing to fire off.
Well, Sentinels, they keep losing players, but they keep getting the players back up, and they're still not out. They're still somehow alive, even with Cross falling as well. 18 squads still remaining, but certainly some squads are weaker than others. That final circle is going to be the one that kind of lands on the bridge between the kind of lava that you witness on your screen right there. So if you are playing on top of the building with the beacon, you're going to be in one of the commanding positions, as kills are starting to fly around now. The zone's getting smaller, teams are starting to lose space on the edge, so instead, all these teams who are waiting inside the buildings are now going to enjoy the kind of route where everyone pushes in, and they're going to get free damage and hopefully some KP to go alongside it. And finally, Esports Arena are taking the fight. It's taken this long, but now they're pushing in with a Kraber.
And they should be able to clean this up. Verholz is going to get the first pick on a Maze, and it looks like good damage being put in by Skittlecakes right after, down to about 75 HP, able to heal back up with that shield battery and just slowly but surely taking this fight. Meanwhile, G2 trying to sneak into the top 7. They get a few kills as well, and they continue to roll in the kill feed. Back on with Intel, Kraber in hand.
Bang! There you go! That's what you want to see from Skittlecakes. Intel, they've been impressive all day. They've taken a while to actually push this fight, but finally it pays off, and all it took, funnily enough, was a Kraber to give them the confidence to finally make that push.
G2 pushing in towards Fragment. These are one of the teams that you mentioned. Other teams might just be able to feast upon, but because ESA has not been able to take this fight They're not able to connect. Misses that blind fire, and I think this is Q2. This is the Bloodhound that we saw earlier. Gentrifying takes out Lou and the kill feed. So continuing his Sentinels to stay alive. I think that finally eliminates them from this lobby.
You'd imagine that must be Sentinels now going down with Xenox falling as well, as teams are dropping like flies. Space Station, Sinus, SSG, W, Sentinels, Neanderthals, Bad Boys, and Sheesh have all fallen, which means we're down to just 12 as this Game 6 is starting to heat up. Exet still within a chance of winning this. They're the commanders, they're the leaders in this, and they're back up to 3, but Esports Arena could certainly do some damage here.
That's big. Furia takes out a member of 100 Thieves, so that is huge because Furia is in 6th, 100 Thieves is in 5th. That's a knock that's going to come through. Not sure if a full kill did on Onmu, but the team's right outside here of Esports Arena. So many teams just huddling, and these are the congested late-game zones that you expect in Fragment.
Yeah, these are the kind of circles where I've got onset kind of elbowing me, saying, hey, this is going to finish bridge. We need to get into the beacon building. We need to position ourselves where we're not going to be the last to enter. But Valkyrie teams, they can change everything. They can dive in late into the high ground, but there is a team already holding that kind of bridge area, and they're going to be in the best spot right now. There's the live leaderboard. Exet have an 8-point advantage over second place, and we know full well Exet are still alive as well. So they are the most likely to win right now in terms of the whole Group C versus D, but that can change very quickly as we get into the next zone. Only 10 seconds until we're about to see all hell break loose.
It's going to be a Valkyrie ultimate coming through for ESA. We'll see where they end up positioning themselves. We'll try and just stay alive and float as long as possible, and it looks like they're going to name the spot. X marks the spot. Teams nearby, and they find the only slight sliver of land that they can, but it looks like instead they're going to drop on a team here, right outside of a squad.
Yeah, trying to do what they can, just dropping together and ensuring that if they're going to take a fight, they have to all do it in tandem. The barrels go down, but also so does the caustic. The res is there, though, with the gold backpack, so at least Intel gets straight back up. They can get straight back into this fight, and they're going to have to fight soon, because Furia are above them. They know full well they're below them, and now you see the kill feed just absolutely exploding. 100 Thieves have lost 2, make it 3. Furia are lost players as well. 100 Thieves now get wiped in 12th. EST go down, so we're down to just 10 squads.
That's right, 100 Thieves out. We see Exet in a pretty decent position. Somehow Esports Arena were able to get out of that bad spot and find themselves just absolutely firing off and picking up as many KP as they can. 8 squads remain. It's game 6. G2 is still popping off, and Exet on the high ground finds one, putting in work with the Peacekeeper Wingman right after it's Clane.
Exet in probably one of the best positions right now. They've got so much vision and they've got so much cover, and they're pretty much central circle with only 7 squads left. All they have to do is stay alive. If they can get to the top 3, they're most likely walking away with the victory here in terms of winning the overall leaderboards. But Skittlecakes has got that Kraber, and he's doing some work, and Esports Arena really trying to dominate this game and this lobby, and they're getting the slays, they're getting the kills. Furia get wiped.
Well, the comms must be hectic. Let's do a quick listen in before this circle collapses.
Hi, this is SSG. Oh, no, it's not. We're good. That's Intel.
Oh, dying.
I broke one.
Watch the walk up on our ass. Watch it.
The Caustic's one. He just died.
Oh my god, boys. Don't take too much damage, guys. We're fine. We're in God spot. We are in God spot.
I think we actually just chill here, yeah.
No one's on bridge. I don't think anyone's coming bridge.
Yeah, they're underneath. We're good. We're good.
Really just walk here.
Just right here. Just chill.
Chill.
I need a cell.
I can drop you here. Here's 2. I've only 2 shield heals.
I'm 1 bat, 2 cells.
We are good though. We are good. Just vibe. Look at res beacon. We could pressure them.
I don't have much ammo.
Oh, actually, we have no shields. Chill. We have no shields.
We got this. Barrels.
Do you have a caustic ult?
No.
Okay.
Only barrels.
These guys might slide above us. These guys might slide above us.
I know. I'm watching. He has a Kraber here. That's Skittles.
Do not
Skittles
peek him. Do not peek him.
Do not peek him.
I'm just focusing this. Keep an eye on that though, Clane. Keep an eye on the right.
Yeah, I know.
And such intense comms from Xset. You hear them say they don't have shield, don't peek, let's just chill, let's just vibe into this late game. Xset feels like they're in a god spot. They feel like they're in a perfect position to close this out, Gaskin.
They are. They have the position to win. The only team that can potentially take this entire lobby off of them is Esports Arena with the Kraber in their hands, but they're being griefed from behind, so they have to be careful. Exet just have to sit and watch the action unfold. They need to be patient at this point. They don't have the caustic ult. wait for the other teams to do the damage, and then you just come in and you clean everything up. It's as simple as that, but sometimes it doesn't always play the way that you want it to in your head.
Well, Mr. Skittlecake's going for some Yeet. Kraber shots, connects for one. It's going to be a headshot coming through. Meanwhile, his teammates are going to finish. ESA doing what they can, but it's Xset with the God spot and the high ground looking to close this one out. Great shots being put in. Clarify goes down. It's all up to Kenny and Klain, and they should be able to close it out, Gaskin.
There is no way that Xset should lose this. The only thing that punishes them if there's a Wraith alive on the other team, but the two teams down below should have done enough damage to one another. That Klain, being very smart here, trying to play around the barrels, will work in tandem with his teammate. Xset are the champions of game number 6, and that's going to be enough to secure the victory in Group C versus D here in week number 2.
And a massive congratulations to the boys in Xset, their first victory in the ALGS, representing the Xset brand. I know my friend PR, the manager of Xset, is smiling right now. Congratulations to these boys, and of course the entire Xset organization. What a performance it was.
They read the circle perfectly, they played the final circle perfectly, we heard the communications, they knew exactly what they wanted to do, and it was flawless. They even, like, at a point where they were struggling to have any resources, they didn't have ultimates, but they just knew that the circle played perfectly into their hands because they positioned themselves for it early. As soon as they knew no one else was on top of the bridge, it was almost like the game just had to play itself, and lo and behold, it did.
That's right. And the fact that they actually got taken out, one member getting taken out early on, were able to actually work their way for a revive and then work their way to God spot, position themselves perfectly in that late game. I mean, that's why they were low in materials, because one member of their team didn't have any mats, didn't have any weapons, had to try and find anything. So they had to split their materials, basically, 2 players into 3.
Yeah, you have to remember, like, they were one of the first teams to lose a player. Like, it's crazy that they were still able to come back. We don't know whether they were able to get a respawn beacon themselves or whether they pushed out. Either way, they got someone back in, and there you have it. 19 points, 12 from placement, 7 from kills. Torrent finally showing up today as well. Shout out Torrent, that's a big game from them. Also equaling the 19 points. I'm sure RKN and the rest of the boys will be delighted with that one because they've really been struggling throughout the games today. Complexity in 3rd place, Esports Arena also with a good performance, but with no one outperforming Xset and Xset being in 1st place before we went into game 6, I think you know what that means, John.
Indeed. Congrats to Xset with a big performance here. G2 doing it big with 8 kills themselves, so that'll put G2 from where they're at in 11th place with 25 points, maybe breaking into that top 8, which will give them at least a few points leaving this Pro League day and should help out their overall standings, but not the performance that G2 would have liked last time or this time. However, the performance Xset certainly enjoyed. A massive last game from Xset. They were in 1st place, they controlled their fate, and they performed.
It does show that even when you think you're down and out and you think it's going to be a struggle and you're just going to be playing for placement, actually, if you're calm about it, if you wait, if you've got the right IGL to kind of guide you through how you want to approach it, you can get that player back up. You can get to a position where you can, in fact, win that game, not just play for placement, and pick up some decent amount of kills to go alongside it. Very impressive performance from Xset. Elsewhere, we also saw some big games coming out of teams that maybe I wasn't expecting in game number 6, but also some disappointing performances from teams that we needed to see points from in game 6 to actually try and put themselves higher up in the leaderboard. A team like Sentinels, for example, after such a high in week 1, it is a pretty low here in week number 2.
Yeah, and that's, honestly, Sentinels in general, over the entirety of the last 2 years in Apex, has had some brilliant moments where you think they have the skill, they have what it takes, but the inconsistency today truly showed. We'll see which Sentinels bounces back in week number 3, and if they can go back to the drawing board and recoup. Not the best day, not the best showing for them. One team I got to give some kudos to is Complexity. Just didn't start very hot, but was able to turn things around. Last couple games, a nice 2nd or 3rd place finish in game 6. That might put them in that top 7 range.
I think the most interesting thing that I've taken away from both weeks and seeing like these groups go up against each other is we're seeing very different lobbies depending on which teams are playing. And it's really going to be until we kind of whittle these teams down to just 20 and we get out of the group stages that we're going to get more of a solid lobby where teams can feel comfortable in. Because right now, things change from one week to another. You're having to adjust playstyles. And those teams who are flexible, those teams who do know how to kind of play a little bit more free, seem to be finding more success.
Yep. We obviously saw C9, TSM clashing of so many teams yesterday, and today we got to see the same thing on the other side of that coin. But that's what makes this Pro League fun. You get different groups in this double round robin format every single week, and which means different drop spots, different play styles, really different meta all up in terms of how the lobby shakes out. So interesting things indeed. And to talk about meta, to break down all the action, we're going to welcome Persia back to the desk.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
We'll get you back in. Where's she?
Hey, what's up, Persia? Welcome back. All right. Well, as Persia's working out the mute button, apologies all for that. We'll give it a second. And Persia, you back? How are we feeling? Give me a thumbs up. Nothing. All right.
No, I don't think she is.
All right. We'll wait to get those audio issues figured out. Apologies, y'all, for that. Back to Gasket and I, which I'm okay with, to be honest with you. We were vibing.
We were trying, but unfortunately just a couple of issues. But I mean, to go back on the point I was making about lobbies being so different as well, it was one thing that one of the teams brought up in a listen, and I know I've mentioned it a couple of times here, but I really think it's one of the most important things I took away from any listening today. It was that this is a lobby that is focused on rotations and playing zone and playing central. We're not seeing as many edge fights, whereas in other lobbies you saw a lot more edge fights, and it means that we'll get certain weeks where we'll see loads of edge fights. We'll get certain weeks where we'll see loads of kind of early zones, and we'll see teams playing the more natural way of Apex. But then we're going to get a fun week next week where you imagine both of those mixes combine, and we're going to get quite a weird game where you're going to have lots of edge teams, you're going to have lots of central teams, and it's going to be about who actually favors that situation, who actually comes out on top.
Yeah, very true. We saw so much Caustic this week as well, and you know, the person that loves to talk about Caustic and Legends is Persia, so we will try this again. Persia is back with us on the desk here. Can you hear us, my friend?
Mic
Mic
check.
check.
Can you
Gotcha.
guys hear me? Or do I need to sing the 50 states again? No, I'm just kidding. As I was saying before, even though you guys couldn't hear it, XSET showed off so many things in that last game that I really loved. And a lot of that comes down to patience. Obviously, losing people early is no easy feat, especially coming back to win it, but managing the resources and having the discipline not to peak in those in-game situations where you know you really want to scoop up some KP, but no, they didn't. They understood the assignment, they savored their resources as much as they could, and then they got the dub, which was a beautiful thing to see. You love seeing everything go exactly as planned. So Gaskin, we're taking a look at some highlights from game number 6. Space Station was definitely in some hot waters here.
Yeah, it was a shame for SSG to lose the 2 players early because it really ruined their chance of having any kind of dream scenario where they come into things and they take the first place away from the likes of XSET. That story was written off quite early on, but the big story for me was waiting for Esports Arena for ages to actually take the fight. Then they did, and boy did they do some damage with that Kraber. But it was the positioning from XSET right from the get-go. They rotated early, they lost a player, they got that player back up, and then they found the ultimate god spot. No one else dare try and fight them on bridge, so in the end, they were the only team up there. They just rained hell upon the teams below them, and they came out with the W.
And speaking of W's, let's take a look at the leaderboard because we're gonna go ahead and set it in stone. Set it in stone, if I will. But look at this leaderboard, and a lot of people jumped up quite a few places there. What do you think, Fallout?
Yeah, I mean, congratulations again. They're in order for XSET, but Esports Arena leapfrogs up into 2nd place. Good finish for them. Space Station drops 1, not the last game they would have liked to see, but hey, a 1st place win last week plus a 3rd place win today. Space Station will certainly be on top of the overall standings, so congrats to them. And of course, Sinus Please, 100 Thieves, really good games overall from them. G2 and Complexity showing some signs of life in the last games 5 and 6. That puts them at least in the top 9.
Yeah, and this means major points going towards our overall leaderboard for all of our teams, because you can't forget this is just groups C and D. So now as we take a look, Gaskin, what's catching your eye here?
How important that was for Esports Arena to pick up those points. They jumped from 4th to 2nd, so they got 4 extra points for Pro League just from moving 2 positions. That's how big it is to finish in that top 3. You get those extra points, and 2nd place is massive. Puts them on 18 in total, just 1 behind Space Station after leapfrogging Space Station in that game. Still ahead of Cloud9. Sentinels, despite a poor week, still find themselves in 4th position, but it means that everything is tightening up around the middle area of this leaderboard. And it means it's kind of anyone's game from, like, I don't know, 4th down to, let's say, 17th, because points are still there to grab. A big week sends you right back up to the top of the leaderboard.
And Fallout, if you're one of these teams that are on the lower half of our leaderboard here, did anything stand out to you this weekend that they should be taking notes on?
Yeah, you know, a couple teams in particular. G2, we talked a lot about 2 back-to-back disappointing finishes in their standards, at least. They're used to being in that top 3. To Gaskin's point, this was a very rotation-heavy lobby. They ran that Valkyrie comp early on and decided to play a little more rotation-heavy, switched over to Bloodhound and found a little more success. So I wonder, playing edge, playing aggressive, that Bloodhound and Wraith style of play seems to work really well for them. Seems to kind of fit within their DNA. I wonder if we'll see them stick to that or try that a little earlier next week.
I'm interested to see if we're going to see more people trying different compositions. I think we saw a glimmer of crypto here in NA at some point, but it was kind of short-lived. What do you think, Gaskin, on character diversity in NA's side? Do you think they're going to try to step outside the comfort zone a little bit? Or are we comfy where we are?
NA like to be comfy. That's what North Americans like, a comfortable lifestyle, and it's understandable. We saw a few people try crypto here or there yesterday. A couple of teams teetered with it today, but for the most part, we saw people going back to the tried, tested, and true. We saw Bloodhounds coming back into things. It wasn't as experimentative as is that even a word? It is now. EMEA, they tried different things. We saw more cryptos coming into play, but here in NA, I think they're happy that they're playing the legends that they know how to use, and I'm okay with that because usually that gives you results, and you see teams really putting up some fantastic results here because of it.
Exactly. And speaking of results, it's time to talk about some possible contenders for our Monster MVP. Now, obviously, all of our teams were killing it today, but we did have some standout performances, and I want to talk about those a little bit. So, Fallout, start us off here. Let's talk about some of the players that really caught your eye and really put their name on the map today.
Yeah, honestly, you got to put some respect to the hands of Frex's. Played incredibly well. Frex showed up. IGL for this SSG, Space Station Gaming squad, former IGL for NRG. Well, he played incredibly well today as well. Not only is he the IGL, not only is he the shot caller for this team, but he performs. I mean, take a look here. Such aggressive play, playing as Caustic and putting in so much work. Great tracking here in game number 1. Great shots put in throughout. And Gaskin, you got to obviously put a lot of respect in the name of Frex.
Yeah, very important that you have a player who is confident in their ability to play on their own as a Caustic, but also sometimes fit that support role. You really have to defend the areas, you have to get those barrels down, the placements have to be important, but also you need to be hitting shots. Elsewhere, speaking of hitting shots, someone I want to talk about is Klein from Xset. My, how important he was today. On that Valkyrie, the movement is difficult at times. You've got to be someone who is comfortable with your key bindings or your controller bindings, whichever you might play. And Klein certainly was a player who was here, there, and everywhere, getting kills, getting position for his team, and ensuring that he was sometimes just jetting up into the sky when he needed to. That final circle, being able to jet above that barrel actually was extremely important. In another scenario where maybe there's a heal-off situation, that could have won them the game. So great thought process behind Klein there, and I think he was one of the most impressive players throughout the day.
And of course, we can have our opinions all day, but let's look at the numbers, the facts, the cold hard proof with the kill leaderboard right now from all of our players and see who's really on top. And Clara, were you expecting this? Actually tying with Klein, so both of them, you know, let's put some respect on more people's names here on Fallout.
Yeah, 100%. Clarify has been a performer for a very long time in ALGS. Has been doing it since the early days of online tournaments and summer circuit, way back when playing on the Flying Saucers and a variety of other teams. It's been impressive to see Clarify's run. But yeah, Klein played very well. Frex, the fact that he's able to do it while also IGLing is what's most impressive to me.
And Gaskin, what do you think about the rest of our even top 10 here? Because everyone in this top 10 is in the double digits, and that's pretty impressive.
Shout out Senox, represent Canada. That's all I'm going to say. There's a lot of United States flags there appearing, but hey, we've got something else different here in North America. Canada showing up. No, I'm impressed with everyone that I've seen today who were able to get some big frags on the board, because it was not an easy lobby to do so. It was difficult to find those kills, and you had to really work hard, and boy, did they work for them.
And I gotta say, Persia, one last note on the potential rising stars for the Monster MVP at the end of the season. Keep an eye on Slurpee G. Really, really honorable mention. Played really, really well. Fragged out as part of the SXG team. I was really impressed by Slurpee.
Yeah, and definitely showed a lot of clutch decisions in the heat of battle, which I think is where that. And hope you enjoyed hearing more about them, because this has been your Monster MVP segment. I'm gonna keep on
Not sure if we have Klein available. Again, apologies, y'all, right there, but don't think we have Klein available for an interview, Persia.
Gotcha. Sorry, we will get that going in just a second. I mean, I can sit here and brag about Exit all day if you guys like, but what are some of the other teams that caught your eye, or maybe some underperforming teams today that we're expecting to see a lot more out of next weekend? I'll start with you, Gaskin.
I think Sentinels underperformed if you consider what they did in week 1 and where they finished in week 2, but the fact they still are in 4th place overall isn't going to bum them out too much. SXG, a team that John just mentioned, they had a lot of room to loot, I will say that. They had a lot of space in the southeast of the map, and they certainly took full advantage of that, but it was the way they rotated and the positions they put themselves in. They were always there or thereabouts in the end game, and they deserved their 2nd position.
I definitely agree with that statement, and I think we are actually ready now for the interview with Onset and Klein.
And no, she just got word we have no interview today, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll have a chance to catch up with them in the future, though.
Yes, I hope so too. All right, you guys. I think it's time to take a look at the talent predictions. I'm saying that because I'm not exactly, I didn't do too well. But you guys have some great guesses here.
Right there with you, Persia.
Onset and Pyra with the space station choice, locking in 51 points each. But guys, we need to have a discussion here about our choices. I mean, we talked a little bit about Sentinels and how we are definitely expecting to see more out of them, but what's the overall, I don't know, decision on today, Gaskin, with Sentinels?
Well, Pyrotechnics wasn't here for this North American broadcast, so his doesn't count. I've decided that, so we get rid of those points. Onset, he's done well today with his predictions. He's actually been top of the board for both EMEA and NA, which upsets me greatly because he will lord that above us for
we'll never hear the end
eternity,
of that
I think. So hopefully by next week, some of us, our predictions get a little bit better. I went for the winners from last week in both my predictions, and I've realized that was a big mistake, and I'm going to reassess that as we go to next week.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I'll say the same thing. You know, I believed in Sentinels. I believed in the height. They played so well last week. The caliber which they played was above and beyond anyone else, and I wanted to kind of manifest that happening again. Fortunately, it didn't. So a lesson learned on my end as well in terms of consistency for this squad. But hey, you learn, you live, you learn. We'll bounce back next week.
It also goes to show the importance about these groups and how much facing against different groups really changes the game. And right now, we're actually going to hop over to some of your tweets from home because you guys have been tuning in with us all day long. Marty says, the question is, can somebody dethrone Cloud9? Tough competition at the top of the NA leaderboard. Everything can happen in ALGS. And Honestly, you said it best right there. Color VR says advice for all ALGS players: don't mess with SXG. That's definitely something I think players are going to look out for moving forward, maybe landing far, far away from them. We also have Nibsy that says, every time I watch ALGS, my heart rate hits 200 BPM. The competition is intense. I agree. My heart's been racing all day long. And then we also have Kexi, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that says Apex Legends Global Series got me hype. Watching the pros work strats and perform with such precision and excellence in split-second decision fights really shows me how I need to work on to be a better Apex player. I think we're all taking notes at this point, to be honest, and sometimes those notes aren't just hit your shots. It's about your positioning, knowing when not to shoot, all of the above. So I'm glad that ALGS has managed to maybe teach us all something and not just the highest of level players. What have you guys learned? I'm curious, Gaskin. Have you learned something from here that you took into ranked and it was 100% effective?
I've learned that Onset is smarter than sometimes I give him credit for. He's meant to be like the play-by-play caster. I'm meant to be the color caster, right? But actually, Onset knows a lot of stuff. He knows his Apex, and if you want to listen to someone's commentary and really just assess what they know, go back.
What are you doing right now?
Listen to everything Onset says. Trust me,
you're boosting his ego.
He doesn't get
enough
credit. The play-by-plays don't get enough credit. I'm gonna hype my man up.
I wish y'all could see Onset in chat right now, literally popping off because Gaskin's giving him all the gas in the world. We got to put his ego in check at some point.
He'll pay me later. He'll pay me later for all these nice things I'm saying. So,
exactly.
Yeah. That's what I've taken away, Persia.
Guys, get you a friend like Gaskin, all right, who's gonna gas you up all the time. And for everyone at home, thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to follow along with us for all of the action, then make sure you hit up our socials. You can find us on Twitter and YouTube at Play Apex Esports, and of course on Twitch at Play Apex. For those of you who like 4K broadcasts, you can catch that on our YouTube as well. Just throwing it out there. We've had such an awesome time today that is gonna wrap up week number 2, both for EMEA and NA, but there's more next weekend, so don't miss out on that. Thank you so much to the viewers, production, the casters, and of course our players for giving us such a great show. And we will see you next time. Bye.